Oh, yes.
School administrator. Boys are taller than me.
That's great.
Wow.
Man, I got mine in before him.
You must have a little stature.
No, that doesn't count. He doesn't sound. That doesn't count.
No.
Oh,
Is that from today or just from?
When I was putting down my.
Doesn't fax count?
yeah, right.
Fax is
Send it over.
right?
Carrier pigeon. That works, right?
Exactly.
And I said, yeah, you're probably right.
I only got 6. Who am I not counting?
Penny.
Oh, Penny's not sitting.
heard that.
So how soon before you does all the applications up there? I kept looking for it. I didn't see it until we got in there.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It varies.
Okay.
You're right. Sometimes you can't read it the last minute.
Right. I was like, scan through there real quick. Probably just missed it.
Set it up.
You guys did great.
That's kind of a weird feeling.
Good.
Okay. I guess I got to do that. Do I have a motion to return to?
Wait,
Oops,
I don't think you're on.
I don't think I'm on. Hello? There we go. Do I have a motion to return to open session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I need a motion to certify closed session, that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Chewbacca?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you, board members, and thank you, everyone, for being patient with us. I know we're starting a little bit late, but our closed session ran a little bit longer, so we apologize for delay, and thank you for your patience. As we return to open session, I want to thank everyone in the audience for being here tonight. The purpose of this meeting is for the school board to conduct the business of the school division. Conversations in the audience can often be distracting to board members because of our close proximity in this room. If you wish to have a conversation with another member of the audience, please move to the hallway. You're welcome to return to the room once you've finished your conversation. And I'll just add to that, it is one thing about this room versus our boardroom is that everyone is on the same level, and so your voices, when you talk, it carries into our ears. We did rearrange the room, as you might notice, for those of you who have come to our board meetings before, so thank you to Ms. Drake and Ms. Woods for giving us a new setup that I think will be a little bit better for everyone for hearing and for us to be able to communicate with the audience. So at this point, I'd like to turn to our student representatives tonight. We have Jeffrey Delaney. Are you Jeffrey?
Yes.
Hi, Jeffrey, from Auburn High School, and Sean Herndon. Hi, Sean, from Christiansburg High School. And they are going to read the mission and beliefs for MCPS.
Mission. MCPS is an innovative educational community. We value diversity and we are committed to equity and inclusion. MCPS empowers learners to realize success in an ever-changing global society through collaboration with communities, families, staff, and students. MCPS provides a safe, engaging learning environment and intentional exposure to positive social, emotional, and academic experiences. Beliefs. All students can learn in order to pursue their dreams.
Schools are safe places of joy, wonder, and creativity.
Every person deserves to be loved, valued, and respected.
Kindness is an essential skill of a responsible, productive community member.
The diversity of our community is one of our greatest strengths.
All people deserve equitable access to opportunities and resources.
Every child deserves an advocate.
Honoring the voices of students and other stakeholders strengthens our school community.
Open communication and feedback are vital to our growth.
Learning and teaching are collective efforts that begin at birth and involve the entire community.
Relationship building and high expectations are foundational to success.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey and Sean. Before we go to Jeffrey and Sean's reports, I just want to make a quick statement. It's been a tough week for our teachers in that there has been a lot of talk in the news about reporting teachers and making sure that information is shared. And I just want our teachers to know and our staff that we are always very supportive of what you do. We're very thankful for everything you've done for us. And we will always appreciate the work that you do for our students in supporting them. And as we've said often here in this room, that our students are obviously the most important thing to us, but without our teachers, we'd have no one to be helping and our staff working with our students. So thank you to all of our teachers. Hang in there. I know it's been a very difficult few weeks for everyone. We'll make that a difficult few years. But please continue to understand that we're listening and we know it's tough and we appreciate everything you've done for the students in our community. So anyway.
So, and I would like to add that with the statements that our students read tonight, those were made, those statements and those, our mission and our goals, our community helped us make those statements as to what we value in Montgomery County, not just within our schools. So understand that we will, in Montgomery County, continue to support all of our students, all of our teachers, and the diversity that we have, and to teach the truth about this United States of America and this Virginia, as our statements reflect. So we appreciate everyone, and we know that us moving forward, we will be a better community. A young man I was speaking to, I wish I could take this for my own words, but he made the comment that just really struck me and has been with me for about 2 weeks now. He said, you know, this rock, speaking about all the things that we're going through right now as a community, as a country, as a world, we could either use that to step up and move on, or we can let it drag us down. And I do not believe we're going to let this drag us down, and we're going to continue to move forward as a community and embrace everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Time to move on. Student representative reports. So, Jeffrey, do you have a report from Auburn High School for us?
Yes, Auburn High School is doing excellent in the academics and sports teams. A lot of our sports teams actually just received their state championship rings, which was pretty exciting for Auburn. And one other thing that I would like to say is I would like to say a special thank you to all of our teachers who work extra hard to make sure that we get the best education possible. And that's what I have.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Okay.
How about you, Sean?
So last week was Principal Appreciation Week. Each day honored one of CHS's 5 principals with thank you notes from students and faculty. The MAC, the county's academic decathlon competition, is currently being held in person, where the CHS Social Studies team remains undefeated. We will be hosting Blacksburg High School this Thursday. The school's theater program will hold a play of The Crucible this Friday, February 4th. The prom planning committee is currently meeting to plan an outdoor event, while the graduation committee is currently meeting to plan an outdoor graduation. The Black Student Awareness Alliance Club this month will go to local elementary schools, CES, CPS, and Falling Branch to read to students The Black Student Alliance will also hold a career panel on February 24th, where African American professionals will speak to the students and talk to them about their own careers. And they also have other big plans for Black History Month. This, CHS is also having a school competition called the CHS Battle, which is a competition between the respective grades. Thank you notes, positive referrals, attendance, and participation in extracurricular activities are all factors on how each grade is capable of winning for each month. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I don't know if anybody's ever been to those academic competitions that they have. I went to one last year, and I forgot, I think it was Blacksburg High School and one of the other local high schools, it wasn't Christiansburg, but it's really interesting to watch that. It's actually kind of exciting, but I'm like a game show geek, so I guess I would like that. But it's pretty amazing how much they know. So, okay, January and February Seniors of the Month. It's that time on our agenda. I see Mr. Polly coming forward. Will you please introduce our Seniors of the Month? Or months.
Yes, Ms. Cass, thank you very much, members of the board, Dr. Meyer. A very special highlight of our board meeting is the recognition of a Senior of the Month from each of our 4 high schools. Photos and leadership profiles are displayed on the screens in the boardroom and will also be on display in the lobby of the central office. Our presentation format provides a snapshot of each senior and a quote from their administrator or teacher who nominated them for this recognition. It's my pleasure to introduce in order will be Chris Stewart, principal of Auburn High School, followed by Adam Simpson, principal of Blacksburg High School, followed by Tony Deibler, principal of Christiansburg High School, and lastly, Matt McDaniel, the assistant principal of Eastern Montgomery High School. My understanding is they will do both of their Seniors of the Month, one right after the other. So, Mr. Stewart.
Good evening, board members. Dr. Meyer. It is my pleasure to recognize several Seniors of the Month for Auburn High School. I'd like to start with our October Senior of the Month, who unfortunately was unable to attend her meeting due to a volleyball match and is unable to be here tonight due to a girls basketball match at Giles. Caitlin Litton was our October Senior of the Month, an outstanding student. And I'd also like to recognize,
And clearly a very busy one.
I'd also like to recognize our December Senior of the Month, Caitlin LaFawn. Caitlin, unfortunately, was unable to attend her meeting due to, I believe, indoor track. And then, unfortunately, she's also on the girls' basketball team in Giles again tonight. Another outstanding student at Auburn High School, Caitlin LaFawn. All right, this time I'd like to recognize our January Senior of the Month, Andrew Vaughn. I'd like to invite Andrew and any of his family members that'd like to come up and stand beside me to be recognized. I'd like to read a brief statement from one of our faculty members, just highlighting the excellent student that Andrew is. Andy is a remarkable student who sets a great example for his peers and younger students at Auburn High School. You can always find him doing the right thing. He's not afraid to take on challenges and does not shy away from taking demanding courses. He took AP Studio Art 3D this past fall despite not having taken many art courses at Auburn High School. Andy's well respected by students, his fellow students and staff at Auburn High School, and we will certainly miss having him in the building. Congratulations, Andy. All right, at this time, I would like to recognize our February Senior Month, Ashley Parsons. I'd like to invite Ashley and any of her family members that'd like to come up. I'd like to read you a brief statement from one of our faculty members. Ashley is a wonderful student who is always planned out and ready to be successful. She never shies away from a challenge, whether it's taking DE courses or taking a course like Pharmacy Tech 1 in the first year it was offered at Auburn High School. The leadership skills that Ashley has shown while at AHS are second to none. Ashley helped start the Auburn High School's HOSA CTE organization and serves as president. It is her leadership that has helped the HOSA organization grow and has allowed Ashley to leave her mark at Auburn High School. We'd like to wish Ashley the best of luck in the future. Congratulations, Ashley.
Good evening, school board members. Dr. Meyer. It is my honor and privilege to present the Seniors of the Month for February and January from Blacksburg High School. So we're going to start with Aicha Bulbul. Aicha, if you want to come up with your family. Here's what one of our teachers had to say about Aicha. Aicha is an incredibly hardworking, determined student. She has a strong intellectual drive that pushes her to take on new experiences and challenges to further her understanding. Aicha always goes above and beyond, whether in class, co-curricular, or extracurricular activities. Congratulations, Aicha. Great job. Next up, we have our February Senior of the Month, who is Audrey Link. Audrey, if you want to come up with your parents. Here's what one of our teachers had to say about Audrey. Audrey Link is an outstanding young woman with a positive attitude and a passion for learning. She has taken the most challenging courses available to her during her time at Blacksburg High School and has demonstrated time and time again that she really cares about her studies. Her leadership, both inside and outside the classroom, is evident in how she is always willing to help others. Audrey's inquisitive nature and her attention to detail have led her to great success, and we wish her all the best in the future. Congratulations.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to report to the board that the January Senior of the Month for Christiansburg High School is Theron Davis. I'd like to ask Theron and his family to come forward at this time. Here is what a teacher had to say about Theron. Theron is like having human sunshine in the classroom. He loves complimenting others and spreads positive reinforcement to all of his classmates without prompting. He loves singing and music and is usually the first to try out for any solo opportunity. He thrives being around people and being just one of the guys, and we all learn so much from him. I know he works very hard to accomplish goals and tasks, but have never heard him complain or share frustrations. I've never met a student that can pull a group together to be a real team more than Theron. Theron plans to attend New River Community College in the fall. Congratulations, Theron. It is also my pleasure to report that the February Senior of the Month for Christiansburg High School is Kenna Smith. I'd like to ask Kenna and her family to come forward at this time. Here's what a teacher has to say about Kenna. Kenna exhibits an enthusiasm for learning that can only be described as contagious. As a young runner on the cross-country team, she quickly grouped herself with the older, more experienced runners in an effort to learn and absorb all she could about the sport of cross-country. Kenna demonstrated perseverance, hard work, and dedication to improving her time. As a student in my AP Calculus class, Kenna displays the same enthusiasm for learning and dedication I observed as her coach to learning the content covered in a challenging, fast-paced college math course. Throughout the semester, she has shown initiative by requesting tutoring and assistance outside of scheduled class time, which exhibits not only her willingness to learn, but also her ability to ask for help when needed. This skill will help her find success in college and future endeavors. Kenna plans to attend Freed-Hardeman University to study biology and to play tennis. Congratulations, Kenna.
Good evening, Dr. Meyer, members of the board. Tonight, I would like to recognize Allison Ramos Mendoza as Eastern Montgomery High School's January Senior of the Month. So I'd like to invite her and her family to join me. Here is a quote from her teacher, Amanda Morris. Allison has shown great dedication to EMHS over the past 4 years with her involvement in cheer, soccer, journalism, Mustang Stampede leadership, the Environmental Science Club, Interact Service Club, and as the yearbook editor for the last 2 years. Allison's warmth and kindness towards all is so appreciated by her teachers and fellow students. She never has a disparaging comment about anyone, and when others are being negative, she always redirects conversations in a positive direction. She is a well-rounded, compassionate, academic, and socially conscious young adult who has much to offer to her community as she prepares to leave EMHS. Congratulations, Allison. Our February Senior of the Month was unable to be here this evening because it is senior night for the girls volleyball team. So.
Well, congratulations to all of our seniors of the month. We appreciate you and recognize how much you've done for our community. Our public address is next.
Ms. Cass, 1 second. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let me just interrupt you 1 second. Since we're in the middle of recognitions, would like to, as part of the agenda, would like to take a moment to announce that February is School Board Appreciation Month. Ms. Drake will bring up a PSA from the VSBA about School Board Appreciation Month. So I want to recognize you all briefly, if you don't mind.
Hello, I'm Eddie Martin, President of the Virginia School Boards Association, and February is School Board Appreciation Month. Serving on a school board is one of the most challenging yet most rewarding ways to give back to your community. Nothing that you do in life can prepare you fully to serve on a school board. In Virginia, we have over 850 school board members from all walks of life who have accepted the responsibility of overseeing education for Virginia school children. This February, please say thank you to your local school board members and let them know that you value their hard work. And to my fellow school board members across Virginia, I would like to personally thank you for always putting children first and for all that you do as leaders, advocates, and supporters of public education.
So we thank our
Hello.
school board.
Well, thank you, Dr. Meyer.
You're welcome.
Our next agenda item is public address. We welcome the opportunity to hear from students, employees, and community members about education matters in this community. As a reminder, the board sets aside 30 minutes to start our public address. The clock continues through applause and disruptions. The more disruptions there are, the fewer speakers who will get to address the board. So please, as much as you can, please try to sit on your hands and keep the applause and any other reactions to a minimum so that we have the opportunity to hear everyone. And we've got a kind of a long list this evening, so we'd like to be able to get through everyone before we move on with the meeting. I'm going to call each speaker up by name in the order that they signed up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. The board does not respond to speakers during public address, and the screens will show when the speaker has 30 seconds remaining and when time is up. Please state your name, area of the county you live in, and please keep your mask on. The first speaker this evening is Jessie Cornwell, and she will be followed by Andy Metzler. Is Jessie Cornwell here? Okay. Is Andy Metzler here? He's coming? Okay. He's up in the nosebleed seats, huh?
Good evening. My name is Andy Metzler, and I live in Christiansburg in District C. I've spoken to this board several times over the years. I've spoken to you as one of your students. I've spoken to you as one of your employees. But tonight I speak to you as a citizen, taxpayer, and a voter. A resolution has been presented to this board to grant the employees of Montgomery County Public Schools their collective bargaining rights. This is one of the most important decisions that this board will ever make. Behind me tonight is a small army of folks in black and red shirts. These folks work tirelessly each day to ensure that the students of Montgomery County have the best educational experience possible despite the challenges they face. These are the humans that care for our community's children and help prepare them for successful futures, and in my opinion, they deserve better. These folks deserve to be at the table where decisions are being made because they are the experts on their students, because they are in the classrooms, buses, lunchrooms, hallways, sports fields, and auditoriums with them each day. These folks know the students and their needs better than anyone on this board will ever know. It only makes sense to me that the people who know the names of every student in this county have a rightful seat at the table where decisions are being made. Educators are leaving the profession at an alarming rate. As an employer myself, if my employees were all but beating down the doors to leave my business, I would want to know what I could do to help fix the problem. It's not a fancy program or a guest speaker. It's not yet another piece of instructional technology. It's not toxic positivity or another in-service. It's simple. Allow these employees to have a seat at the table where the decisions are being made. Last year, I left public education after a 6-year tenure. In my time as an educator, I won a National Teaching Award, helped write 3 state agriculture education programs, mentored new teachers, and many other accolades, which are unimportant in this moment. I left because I felt that no matter how many times I got up here and said what I thought, and no matter how many emails I sent to administrators or other school board members, that my voice and my opinion didn't matter. I left because administration wasn't respectful of my work-life balance. I left because administration would rather bully people into submission rather than embrace differences and learn from them. Educators like me are looking. They're updating their resumes, they're getting their portfolios together, and they're ready to make the jump. You have an opportunity to help stop this trend and be one of the few boards in this state to do so. An opportunity to show your employees that you care about them and you value their training and education. An opportunity to finally do right by your employees. I encourage each of you, and especially the representative from District C, to always vote in favor of allowing your employees to collectively bargain. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Metzler. Next on the agenda, I'm sorry I forgot to tell you we're on deck, is Mr. Chilcote, Glenn Chilcote, and after Glenn is Katie, is it Seidemann?
Chair Cass and members of the board, my name is Glenn Chilcote and I live in Blacksburg. I am here once again to advocate on behalf of a majority of all employees for the ability to collectively bargain the terms of our contracts. I'm here to advocate for the bus driver who knows every student's name, keeps them safe, and spends countless hours helping transport them to sporting events and clubs all across the Commonwealth. I'm here to advocate for the paraprofessional that goes above and beyond to build lasting relationships with students he or she works with in order to make them be as successful as they can be. I'm here to advocate for the administrative assistant that not only keeps the school running, but manages the school budget and a multitude of activity funds, answers literally thousands of phone calls every week, processes report cards, schedules, is a dedicated team member and the voice of the school. I'm here to advocate for principals that know what's important. People. I'm here for the principal that creates a working environment where students and staff feel comfortable, are ready to work and learn, and are always supported. I'm here to advocate for cafeteria workers that can change plans on a dime. The cafeteria workers who pack thousands of lunches in a moment's notice and still do it with a smile on their face. I'm here for the custodians and facilities workers who clean and sanitize our schools. They know our students' names, and they truly care about their success. I can't tell you how many times a custodian has literally saved the day. And I'm here for the teachers, the ones that lie awake at night worrying about their students. The teacher that without hesitation spend hundreds of dollars out of pocket for their students. The teacher that buys their class winter coats because they need it. The teacher who anonymously bought one of their students new glasses. The teacher that fostered former students and then adopted them. I'm here for the teacher that is not only an employee, but a community member, a parent, a spouse, and a highly qualified professional. The above-mentioned employees work hard for you. They deserve a meaningful seat at the table.
please vote to move forward with writing a collaborative resolution, including a timeline, to honor the amazing work your staff does every day. Once again, it only makes sense that the people who know the names of the students, and if you know the names of the students, please stand up right now. It only makes sense that these people have a meaningful seat at the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tilcote. Next, we have Katie Seidemann. And after Ms. Seidemann, I have Tyler Tennyson. Hope I said that properly.
That's an electronic one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Which one is?
the
Oh, the
second.
next one. Okay. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Katie Seidemann, and I live in Christiansburg. I'm also a music teacher at EMHS and CMS. Before the start of this semester, all MCPS teachers were required to attend a professional development related to classroom management. During this PD, we were given a list of classroom management strategies and techniques to consider implementing into our everyday teaching, although most of us already do that. The very first strategy presented was this: let students help establish guidelines. The idea is that the teacher and the class as a whole create classroom rules, norms, and expectations together as a group. The rationale for this being that if everyone has a say in building the expectations of a classroom environment, everyone is more likely to accept those expectations. Quote, this creates ownership, accountability, and consistency. That quote is taken directly from the PD presentation given to teachers. Another strategy presented during the presentation was write group contracts. Again, the idea is that the group, quote, write a formal contract to clearly define expectations for classroom behavior and group work. This classroom management strategy is important because it, quote, allows students to have ownership in defining the expectations and rules that they will be asked to follow, and it allows more equitable assessment and encourages a more evenly distributed workload. So here's my question. If we, as teachers, are being presented with these strategies to better manage our classroom by MCPS, and two of the suggested strategies involve collaborating with all parties to come to a mutual agreement in regards to our student learning environment, AKA contract negotiation, then does it not make sense that we, as teachers, should also be involved in collaborating with all parties to come to a mutual agreement in regards to our work environment, AKA contract negotiation? Contract negotiation is not a play to get paid more for doing less work. Honestly, if that's what I really wanted, I would not have become a teacher. Contract negotiation ensures that teachers are no longer being overworked, undervalued, and ignored because we can have a meaningful seat at the table where we can, quote, have ownership, accountability, and consistency within our workplace. This is the ultimate goal because my working conditions are my students' learning conditions, and I want my students to have the best in all things. That is why I became a teacher. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Seidemann. I am saying your name correctly, right? Okay. Next, we have Tyler Tennyson, and I believe he is on the phone.
Hello?
Hello, is this Mr. Tennyson?
It is.
Well, you are now on line here at the MCPS school board meeting, so your 3 minutes is starting.
Hi, my name is Tyler Tennyson, and I'd like to speak on the MCPS COVID protocols. But first, I also want to say I highly support the collective bargaining for our school employees. I know I probably won't be changing any minds here tonight, but I want to emphasize the importance of this board's decisions and the impact that they have on our community. I'm the parent of a kindergartner here in Christiansburg, and before this school year, my wife and I were very concerned we were unable to send our daughter to her first year of real school. However, with MCPS following all of the CDC recommendations, we knew it would be safe enough to send our child. As mentioned at the last meeting, masks are most effective when everybody is wearing one. This, layered with other mitigation strategies in place, is not only keeping our kids safe, but also others that our kids come in contact with, like unvaccinated toddlers and elderly grandparents. I agree masking is not ideal, and I personally cannot wait for it to be safe enough to not need them anymore, but the fact remains that scientists, medical professionals, and the data unanimously agree that masks are still needed to provide a safe learning environment. At the last meeting, Mrs. Bond made a fantastic point. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here because I don't have her exact quote in front of me, but she said, in schools, everybody is masking, but outside of schools, there's not so much masking. And then she also stated that the transmission is not occurring in the classrooms where people are wearing masks. Those against masks will often say that COVID is not any worse than the flu. The flu kills on average of 12 to 50,000 people per year over the last decade. However, COVID has killed over 900,000 in the last 2 years. Omicron is currently killing an average of 2,200 U.S. citizens per day. We are literally having a 9/11 size event nearly every single day, and I realize to some in this room in our community that doesn't matter, but to me it's significant. And during such a deadly period, it makes no sense to start stripping back such a simple layer of protection. Another thing that those against masking will often say is that if you're so scared, keep your kids home or send them to school in a mask. Again, as I mentioned, if everybody is not masking, it will greatly reduce the mask's effectiveness. School systems have a responsibility to provide a safe learning environment. If this board allows parents to force their opinions that lack any kind of scientific backing onto the community, then this board would fail in its responsibility of providing that safe learning environment. I find it truly unfortunate that so many people in our community are willing to risk the safety of our kids and families and are literally willing to die over such a simple safety measure. I would like each board member to think to themselves if what they are doing is ethical, moral, and in the best interest of our community and kids when they vote to remove safety measures during such a high infection time. I would also like to remind everybody that when you wear a mask, the worst thing that happens is you are dealing with a minor inconvenience. When you vote to repeal mask mandates in schools, you're opening the door to a massive increase in cases, hospitalizations, and deaths in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tennyson. Next, we have, the next three are actually electronic. First, we have Robin Sanborn. Ms. Sanborn, are you there? Oh, it's got a ring. Of course it does. What do you say? We're going to try the next person. Okay, Carola Haas.
I think that's a mistype. It's Carol.
I think it is Carola, isn't it? I thought Carola was her name.
Hello?
Hello, is this Ms. Haas?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Ms. Haas. This is Sue Cass from the school board. It's time for you to speak during our public address, and your 3 minutes will begin as soon as you start talking.
Okay, thank you. My name is Carola Haas. I'm from Reiner, Virginia. I'm a parent and a concerned citizen. I'd like to wish everyone today a happy Lunar New Year and Imbolc on the Celtic calendar. I want to thank the school board members for your service, and I also want to thank the teachers, aides, and school staff who are working to educate and help our students. I was appalled by the creation of the tip line and the motivation to foster fear and mistrust at a time when our teachers and aides and all school staff most need community support. I would like to comment tonight on 2 topics. Foremost, I am asking the board to pass a resolution in support of allowing school employees to participate in collective bargaining and for the Montgomery County Education Association to be the bargaining agent. Especially at this moment, it is important that we let teachers, educational service professionals, and other school staff know that we respect their expertise and that we recognize that they are the ones in the schools every day with our kids and that we need their input as to how to create and maintain the best conditions for working and learning. I strongly urge you to support collective bargaining through MCEA. Secondly, I wanted to say that I appreciate your retaining mask wearing, and I hope you will continue to require masks indoors until the incidence of cases falls below 25 cases out of 100,000 in the population, and the infection rate is less than 0.9. Well-designed masks, such as KF94 masks, can make communication easier and should be provided by the schools for people who need them. For parents or board members who feel it's a restriction of freedoms, I hope they can step back and think of all the restrictions we put on ourselves in order to have a functioning society. We drive on the right side of the road. We don't burn our trash outside when the wind is high. We can't deer hunt in town or from the road. In the same way that we can't send our kids to school naked or shoeless, or we can't tell our kids it's acceptable to relieve themselves on the floor, we wear masks to prevent the spread of disease to others. Asking kids to wear masks during a pandemic isn't any more restrictive than forcing them to wear clothes and regulating where they can use the toilet. Anybody who's raised a child knows that that took some time to get them used to it, right? It's just following standards that reduce the risk of spreading diseases to others. There is recent rhetoric about not wanting children to feel uncomfortable or challenged. The whole point of education is that we open ourselves to new things. Learning is by nature uncomfortable and challenging, but it shouldn't be physically unsafe. Thank you for balancing the safety and education of our children. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Haas. Next, we're going back to Robin Sanborn.
Hello?
Hello, Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
This is Sue Cass from the Montgomery County Public Schools. We are calling to have you speak to our public forum. Your 3 minutes will start as soon as you start speaking.
Okay. My name is Robin Sanborn, and I'm a parent in Blacksburg. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Nobody wants to wear a mask. I look forward to the day we can all pack them away. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. Today, 114 cases were reported in MCPS. Last week, it was 318 cases, the highest number since the start of the pandemic. There were cases in virtually every school and office. We've been told COVID is not spreading in the schools, which is wonderful, and clear evidence we need to keep wearing masks until community caseloads lessen. Our community case rates are about the highest they've ever been, and our ICUs are at 94% capacity. Carillion, Lewis Gale, and other local healthcare providers recently released a statement pleading with the community to take action to slow the spread of the virus. Wear a mask, wash your hands, stay socially distant, get your vaccine and booster. We all know how important an in-person education is, and wearing masks while we're still in the thick of the pandemic is one of the most important tools we have to keep them there. I'm tired of being told that there's no point in wearing masks in schools because nobody wears masks outside of school. That's simply not true. My family wears masks, including my child in college. Our extended family wears masks. Our friends wear masks. We wear masks in the grocery store. We don't eat inside restaurants. We and our hairdressers wear masks for haircuts. We watch movies at home, and playdates are masked or outdoors. And because of our caution, no one in our family has gotten COVID. We're not alone. Lots of families are taking similar precautions. Some are even more stringent. If others aren't concerned and want to take risks outside of school, then that's their choice. But they can't then come to school unmasked and put everyone else at risk. We can't pick an arbitrary date to stop wearing masks because we don't know when COVID will subside in Montgomery County. Cases might be lower next week, but they also might be higher, and we won't know until we get there. What we can do is set some clear metrics. I suggest people can remove masks in our schools if the daily cases per 100,000 people is 25 or lower for Montgomery County. They're fully vaccinated and boosted if eligible, and they participate in the weekly testing program. This way, we can continue to ensure COVID will not spread in our schools. The Omicron wave is likely to abate soon, but there are already new variants on the horizon. We need a flexible policy that will allow us to require masks when needed and relax requirements when not. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanborn. Next, we have another electronic participant, Vicki Ratcliffe.
Hello.
Hello, is this Ms. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Hi, this is Sue Cass from the Montgomery County School Board. I'm calling for you to provide us your input through the public forum. We will, if you could give us your name and your county location, and then we will start the clock.
Okay, great. My name is Vicki Ratcliffe, and I have multiple children in Montgomery County Public Schools at Blacksburg Middle and Blacksburg High School. I would like to thank the school board members and school administrators for allowing me to speak, and teachers for all of their hard work during this challenging time. I'm here to support the continuation of masking for all students and personnel. I firmly believe that my children have continued with in-person at school this academic year with little disruption because of the mask mandate. To remove a mask mandate that is proven to reduce the transmission of COVID would disadvantage students and educators who want to attend school safely. The assertion that masks help slow the transmission of COVID is supported by the Centers for Disease Control data. Masking makes sense in a school environment where social distancing is not always possible. Newly published research as of January 2022 by the Journal of the American Medical Association found that across 50 states, masking for all is associated with a 14% reduction in school closures. I will email all board members a link of this study for your review after this meeting. A change in the current policy will likely increase the spread of COVID in schools beyond what we are currently seeing, leading to quarantines and illness of students and personnel, further straining the school's ability to stay open and provide high-quality education to students. Increased time at home for quarantines, illness, or school closures will put additional financial and emotional strain on working families, forcing them to find appropriate care and make choices between their employment and the education of their child. I've heard no scientifically sound argument that wearing a mask is more harmful than the teacher and student illness and absences, more harmful than potential school closures due to lack of staffing, and more harmful than the social and academic harm of students if forced to online education. Some argue that no masks are needed for children because they are at minimal risk for severe COVID. This may be true to some extent. However, this disease spreads through community interaction, and children do not live or interact within a bubble. They interact with many people throughout the day who then go home to their families. A disease spread through community interaction requires a community response. Everyone must do their part. A mask is the most simple action to increase protection for yourself and your neighbor and keep all students in the classroom for as long as possible. I hope the school board continues to follow Virginia Law SB 1303, requiring school boards to offer in-person instruction to students and follow CDC recommendations to the maximum extent possible, which includes wearing masks. The mask mandate for all students and staff should only be optional when the science supports it and community spread is under control. Lastly, I support Montgomery County Public Schools employees' ability to collectively bargain. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Ratcliffe. Next we have, so we're going back here to in person. First we have Courtney Roberts, and on deck is Bradley Hill.
Hello, my name is Courtney Roberts. Can I move this?
Absolutely.
Well, can I? Is a whole different question.
Yeah.
So I'm Courtney Roberts. I am a parent. I have a kid in an elementary school in Blacksburg. I have a kid in Blacksburg Middle School. I am also a lawyer by trade, so I had this big, beautiful speech that I was going to give that was going to impress all of you very much. But I think after hearing some of the other comments, I'm actually going to cut mine as short as possible and hopefully yield the floor to some other people here who obviously have some very important points to make. So just briefly, my 3 points are this. One, I'm asking you to keep the mask, to follow the science and be guided by the directives that we're getting from the health department. But I would like to amend my statement after hearing Ms. Sanborn speak. I think her proposal that you have a flexible policy in place to adapt to any oncoming strains is well taken. Secondly, I'm asking you to stand with the teachers and make sure that they do feel supported, and I'm encouraged by the statements that the board brought to us in opening the meeting, supporting the teachers in response to this tip line and allowing them to feel empowered to teach the full breadth of history and the full canon, inclusive canon of literature. But most importantly, I'm asking you to stand with the teachers by paying them what they need to keep them here, because they are our most important resource. It's not the Chromebooks, it's not IXL, it's not Dreambox, it's experienced professionals bringing their knowledge to my children so that they can go out and have the capacity for critical thinking that's really what this school board and this school system has to offer. So I'm asking you to give them that opportunity by allowing them to collectively bargain.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Next we have Bradley Hill, and on deck is Josh Thompson.
Good evening. For those of you that are new to the board, my name is Brad Hill. You'll probably get used to me over your 4-year term. For those of you that are returners, I want to thank you. For the last time I spoke to you about a month ago was about the substitute issue. And Dr. Meyer and Mr. Knott and the board and all took those measures to really address some of those things, and I think we helped solve some of those. Tonight, I want to speak to you about another issue that was brought up, I believe, last board meeting, between a conversation between Ms. Franklin and Ms. Bond, and it dealt with the aid issue in paying aides. And Ms. Franklin was talking about paying them more, and Ms. Bond kind of said, well, nobody's going to drive from Wytheville to Montgomery County for $15 an hour. Well, I want to share with you a personal story, one that I can relate to myself. And that is, right now, I took a job last September at a bank. The reason I took that job at a bank was because at that time, Montgomery County only allowed substitutes to work 130 days a week or a year, and that got changed, but unfortunately it got changed after I accepted that job. Before that, I got that job. There were 2 reasons why I got that job. Why I took that job. One was because I can walk to it. Number 2 is it because it's not a ton of money, but it paid $18 an hour. Now, this summer before I took that job, I was a clubhouse manager for the Pulaski River Turtles, which was an absolutely wonderful job. It was a 2-month job, of which I got paid $8,000 for 2 months. Okay? Now, unbeknownst to you all, I was also offered a job by Montgomery County Public Schools as an aide at an Auburn school. I was excited because, you know, I love working for the Pulaski River Turtles. I enjoy working at the bank. It's not my passion. My passion is kids. My passion is helping kids. You can ask any teacher. You can ask any principal. You can ask the principals over at Auburn. They want me there. I didn't take that aide job because of what it paid me, because it was an insult to me. You see, I make $18 an hour in a bank with 3 months of experience. I have 10 years full-time teaching experience, of which I was a math department head, a head football coach. I have been countless coaches for many things. I was a principal designee. I have been a long-term sub in at least 7 different positions. I have been an SOL tutor for 14 years. That wasn't rewarded. It was supposedly based upon years of service with teaching. That is not online. It doesn't state that. It also doesn't give you a scale like it does with teachers. Now, Montgomery County has risen that pay a little bit, of which I'm thankful for. But I'm going to send you an email letting you know other steps to take. Thank you for your time. I'm running out of time. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Next, we have Josh Thompson, and then after Mr. Thompson, Sharon Brockman.
Hello, Josh Thompson, Blacksburg, Virginia. Good evening, board members. I'm speaking to you tonight with a simple call to action, a unanimous vote in favor to allow collective bargaining in Montgomery County Public Schools, and then to designate the Montgomery County Education Association as the bargaining entity. Undoubtedly, you have heard from many different stakeholders, parents, teachers, students, and community members, many who have spoken tonight and who will speak after me. You may have even heard from people on opposing sides of this decision. However, tonight and every day moving forward, I hope you will remember one fact. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions. Everyone involved with MCPS has one common goal, and that is to support the students of Montgomery County. We're here to help students learn, and we're here to help students grow. Giving educators in Montgomery County a meaningful seat at the table is one more way to support students. There are people who demonize teachers. There are people who say we're asking for too much. And there are even people who would try to pit teachers against students. All of these things are incorrect, as many of the speakers tonight have discussed, and they also miss a very crucial point. That is that supporting teachers is supporting students. We are the ones who work closest with students throughout a school day. We're the ones who can tell you about each individual student's interests, their successes, their failures, and their growth. We are professionals, and we have some incredible, highly effective, and award-winning educators in this district. I see no reason to deny us this meaningful seat at the table. I'll leave you with this. Each of you has said multiple times over the past few years how much you support teachers. This is a chance to put your words into action. This is a chance to demonstrate that those words you said actually mean something. This is a chance to show that when you say you support teachers, it isn't just for political purposes. If you support students, if you support teachers, this should be an easy vote, and one that I'm sure all of us here and all the people watching at home tonight expect to be unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Next, we have Sharon Brockman.
Miss Cass, I'm so
Yes.
sorry. Our 30 minutes for public address has ended.
To go to my notes. Ms. Drake has indicated that the 30 minutes set aside for public address is complete. Does anyone wish to make a motion regarding extending public address?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made. Do I have a, oh, I got it. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Ms. Drake, I guess we're good. So we have Sharon Brockman. Sorry to give you a false start there. And after Ms. Brockman is Catherine Kincaid. Do you need that lowered? There you go.
I wasn't sure if it would. Okay. My name is Sharon Brockman, and I am the parent of an Auburn High School student. I'm here again to respectfully ask you to remove the mask mandate for students in MCPS. Some countries and some states have never masked their students. Others have taken it off. Matter of fact, the UK and Denmark have gotten rid of all of their COVID restrictions in the last week or so. And it seems that the health outcomes are the same regardless of the mask policy. Everyone age 5 and over who wants a COVID vaccine has already had the chance to get one. And no one is saying that people who want to wear a mask cannot wear a mask, even though there are actually laws in Virginia that prohibit mask wearing except on Halloween. And nobody seems to mention that anymore. Mask wearing is not part of the dress code. It's not, it's put in as a health measure, and to talk about it part of the dress code is just doesn't follow. So since 2020, when all this came to the fore, it seems that people have noticed, and studies have proven, that children are less affected by COVID, and they don't seem to transmit the disease very well either. However, we're treating all of our children like they do, like they're little disease vectors. And, you know, they do transmit a lot of things, runny noses and all that, but not so much COVID. So, somebody else said this better than me. His name is David Zweig, and he writes for The Atlantic and the New York Magazine, things that are not Fox News. He says that many young Americans have been robbed of normal schooling and normal interactions with their peers. We have demanded that young people bear the heaviest burden of our policies for the sake of those who are more vulnerable. Well, in 2020, everybody was scared. Nobody knew what was going on. But it's almost 2 years later, and we know a whole lot more about this. So it's time for our kids to get back to normal. My own son is a senior in high school. We got somewhere like 3 months left of this. And since 2020, you know, high school doesn't look like it used to. And like I said, 2 years ago, nobody knew what to expect here. But now we do, and it's time to give these kids back some of what they've lost. That would include regular sports, prom, homecoming. That's been canceled. Let me read you what the Auburn High School yearbook staff wrote in their yearbook last year, which has a mask on the front of it. Welcome to the Auburn Eagle COVID style. Let's get this out of the way. There are no clubs, only 4 pages of sports, no pep rallies, homecoming, or spirit week, no halftime shows, no photos of crowds or fans, and no maskless faces. It's time for us to go back to normal. If we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? And the class of 2022 deserves for you to take this up sooner than later. Thank you.
Okay, so next, thank you, Ms. Brockman. Next, we have Catherine Kincaid. Is Catherine Kincaid here? Oh, there she is. Sorry. After Ms. Kincaid is Elliot McAllister.
My name is Catherine Kincaid. I live in Blacksburg, and I'm a former educator. I want to say that it's time to stop bullying and stop punishing our children by forcing them to wear dirty and unhealthy coverings over their beautiful faces. Children need to breathe, to see face impressions in order to learn and to be happy and healthy. They don't need to be controlled like cattle. Even the CDC says now, after 2 years, that cloth coverings are useless. Yet you have forced them to wear them for over 2 years with no end in sight. They need to feel safe and cared for, not to be used as political pawns. Your job is to provide the best quality education possible in a safe and friendly environment, not to indoctrinate them by teaching them wokeism and other horrible things that we have recently heard about. And that's, I think, where the tip line came from. We need for those in the school system to show intelligence and common sense and end this madness. Our newly elected governor promised to end the mandates if elected. He has followed through on that promise, but some of the people in control of the school system have decided to oppose this, the parents and him. This is probably because he is in the wrong party. This sets a bad example for our children about following authority. Do what you want if you don't agree. No wonder there's talk of a discipline problem in a lot of the schools. The people of Virginia have expressed what they want. I have heard many doctors who have treated patients say that not one healthy child has died of COVID. The ones who have had serious illnesses. I ask you, would you rather have your child or a grandchild contact COVID, which has a 0.0000 or whatever chance of killing him? And I can find those statistics if you would like for me to. Or would you rather have them consider suicide, drug overdoses, or have mental issues for the rest of his life? And we know these are true issues, although it all sounds pretty tonight when they're talking about things. There's nothing serious that has come up. A lot of parents have had to face these devastations. It's past time for the parents to take back control of their children and the school systems. Shame of those who voted to continue to control our children with these horrid
Ms.
mandates.
McAllister, I'm sorry, but your time is up. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Kincaid. I was looking at the next name. No, I'm sorry. Your time is up. It's 3 minutes. Okay, Ms. Kincaid. No, ma'am, I'm sorry. It's 3 minutes for everyone, and your 3 minutes is up. So you need to have a seat right now, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. McAllister, you're up next. And then after Mr. McAllister is Mr. Beard. Is Mr. McAllister here? Okay, Mr. Beard, I think it's you then.
Good evening, thank you. I'm from Montgomery County. I have a child at Blacksburg High School. You know, I was originally going to speak about someone else tonight, but after listening to, I guess the mask mandates are still what's important. And, you know, for the love of God, why we teach our kids live in fear? You know, there's no kids in the hospital. I actually know more people who have died from the vax than have died from COVID. I know an 18-year-old girl who died from getting vaxxed. You know, why are we doing this? And all the, you know, the schools, the grades have just fallen by 25% in science and 33% in math. We got to get the kids living a life and getting to know their neighbors and becoming friends and socializing and knowing, you know, what it means to be free and communicate. It's about being a child and growing and teaching them how to critical think. They can't critical think and see someone's face, you know, with these stupid masks, and they don't do any good. Masks are just freaking useless, you know. And about some numbers, some people quoted about 900,000 people dying from COVID. Please do your research. The CDC's even said that 78% of those died because they have four comorbidities them already. You know, there's so much conflicted information, and it was already mentioned, other states, other countries, you know, they haven't had masks. Why are people going to Florida? Because they're not wearing masks and no one's dying in Florida. So we take these daggone masks off, give it choice. The citizens of Virginia voted to have the mask mandates lifted, and that's what should be abided by is what the governor said and follow the law. And that's what we're asking for is pro-choice. Let the parents decide what's best for their kids, and not the school system equipped back like tyranny. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beer. Next, we have Juliana Rosso. And after Juliana, we have Johanna Hicks.
Hello, my name is Juliana Rosso, and I'm a junior at Christiansburg High School. I'd like to start off by saying I completely, fully support collective bargaining, and as a student in the school system, which is what you guys are here for, I would really like somebody who knows my name and knows about me for a seat on the board. At the school board meeting on January 11th, a statement was made from one of the school board members saying that if it comes between students and the teachers, the person speaking would rather choose the students. Here I am, a student in your system, a 17-year-old child asking adults that I've never met personally who get to decide my day-to-day experience throughout school to please change a policy. Your duty is to choose what's best for us, but you don't walk our halls. You don't sit in our classes, and you don't experience day-to-day life in the classroom like we do. These guys do. They deserve a seat. Every day, I walk past the teacher who signs her emails with a Bible quote. I walk past the teacher who doesn't say anything when homophobic comments are made in the halls and in their classroom. I walk past the teacher who teaches about the F slur, but doesn't know or teach its history, all to sit in a classroom where a pride flag used to sit in the window, next to the kids who have publicly said their lack of support and hate for people in my community. When you guys voted to include pride flags in political speech, you allowed these kids to see something that was illegal only 7 years ago in the US, something that had finally started gaining support, and you voted to let this population watch you take that proof of support away. You allow students who don't support us, who call us slurs and say mean things, you allowed them to watch as you tear down the support. You aren't just taking down the pride flags. You aren't just hiding political speech. You're fueling their abuses. I know changing policies take time. However, this is my 3rd month in a row here, and each time I get hope something will change, as I listen to members of the school board agree, saying what's happening is not working. Yet this interpretation of the policy stays in place. Last month, I told you suicide statistics for LGBT youth. A reminder, every 45 seconds in the United States, an LGBT youth attempts suicide. That is 480 students since last time I stood here, begging for the same changes. Schools who don't show support for LGBTQ are 40% more likely to have youth LGBTQ suicide. Don't let this happen in our schools. Keep us safe, please. Another way to keep me safe, another way to keep all of us safe, is keeping the mask mandate in place. I have family members who are immunocompromised. I've already had 2 family members die. If the mask mandate gets lifted, I cannot attend school. I cannot show up and be there in person, and I cannot learn. That is not normal. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana. Ms. Rosso. And I just lost my computer. Our last person, I believe, was Joanna Hicks.
Hi, everyone in here. Thank you for being here tonight, and obviously you guys have a hard job to do. I'm from Christiansburg, Virginia. My children, I'm coming over here as a parent of 4 children in the Montgomery County schools. I have a child that's special needs, and I have other 3 kids that attend high school, middle schools, and Falling Branches schools. I am really grateful for the teachers that we have in our schools. Their presence has made a huge difference in our families, and they're obviously the ones that need the raises around here. So thank you for everything that you guys do, obviously. But I'm coming over here with just as a parent, asking to stop suffocating our children with this mask. I'm actually suffocating with I barely use it nowadays, but when I have to use it, it's hard. And it's a huge reminder of what our kids are experiencing in the whole day in schools. They spend anywhere from 8 hours, sometimes longer, wearing this mask that a lot of people don't even really care about even wearing fully during the school system. Kids in other places around our counties are mask-free now. Why can we leave that up to the parents? If we want shields, let's go back to the use of shields so teachers can teach behind the plastic glasses. So at least the children around here can see their interactions and their teaching words, their expressions. Most kids seem to be behind on their education. A couple of my children were AS students, and they're having a hard time trying to catch up. Mask mandates are harming our kids' development, interactions with their friends and teachers, causing severe depression issues. Kids are struggling to communicate. My 7-year-old daughter suffered from several urinary tract infections caused for not being able to communicate with her teacher due to different things like even too afraid to speak, having a mask, having to be able to raise her hand, not being able to be seen, not being able to have a voice. Children have to be masked all day, every day, with a break only while they're eating and drinking. Only the safest people in the population are forced to live this way. Cognitive developments in small children attributes a dramatic drop in verbal and nonverbal abilities. I hope that you guys can take this and hopefully make a change, and hopefully we can go back to a little bit of some normal life once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hicks. And that seems to be the conclusion of our I lost my public address. Thank you. Oh my goodness. And it's only 8:23. So now we'll move on to consent items. If there is nothing to be pulled from the consent agenda, then we'll consider the consent items approved. Is there any discussion regarding the consent agenda? Okay, well, I knew that. Do I have a motion to approve the payment of the bills? Remember, this is only my third time. Do I have a motion to approve the payment of the bills as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, payment of the bills is approved. Now we're on to the business meeting portion of our meeting. So first, we have the Clean School Bus Program Grant Application Resolution, and Dr. Meyer is going to give us a brief update about this.
Yes, ma'am. We continue to apply for funds to purchase additional electric school buses. In order to apply for the grant that is next on the agenda, the board must approve a resolution authorizing the school division to apply for this grant. We're asking you to approve this resolution as presented.
Motion to approve the resolution. Second.
Okay. Do we have any discussion?
What are some of the, just out of curiosity, the phrase in there about required assurances? Would these grants be to help with payment, or would they be for the full payment of the?
Jonathan, too.
It covers a portion. So the electric buses are running about $350,000 versus a traditional diesel bus, which runs $105,000.
Okay.
So the grants traditionally cover the difference
okay.
between a diesel price bus and an electric bus.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion? Okay. So then, do we have a motion?
Yes. You have a motion.
We
and a
have one
second
already.
on it.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All right, thanks. Next is a grant proposal with the VDEQ electric buses, round 2. This grant would support replacing 2 older diesel school buses with 2 electric school buses. If we were awarded funds from this grant, it would bring our total number of electric buses to 6. We're asking you to approve this grant proposal tonight.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Meyer.
Actually, we're very excited about our new electric buses, which should be arriving in the next few weeks.
Correct.
Correct, Mr.
Yes, sir.
All right.
It is that close.
Yeah, we're really excited. And when we do get the new electric buses in, we'll make sure that everyone knows that they're here.
Yes, sir.
So,
Can we all go for a ride?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah, we'd love
ma'am.
to take everyone on a ride. They are absolutely incredible. I'm just going to.
They're very quiet.
They're very quiet. Yes, they are. In fact, my understanding, they actually put some type of sound maker on there.
Correct.
Dangerously quiet, possibly.
right.
So it's really an amazing product that Thomas has built. Next, the employee budget presentations. So tonight you'll receive feedback from different employee groups regarding the budget proposal. First here for instructional H, we have Connie Bloss. If Connie is here, and you come up. Good evening, Connie. Mike's yours.
Good evening. On the behalf of the paraeducators, we would like to thank the board for getting us VRS for this year for the first time ever for the support professionals. One thing we would like to see change this year doesn't cost anything but having typing done. We would like to see that the word aid be replaced with titles instead, like bus assistant, resource assistant or recess assistant, lunch assistant, teacher assistant, paraeducator, or paraprofessional. We are all professionals who work in the job every day. If we were not in the building, many things would not get done. One concern that kept coming up when I was talking to others was over the new salary scale with the new associates, the ones that was below and the ones that was below $15 got a lot more money than the ones who had been in the county more than 10 years. Most I have spoken with felt like they had gotten cheated. We all know that money is always a big issue. Another thing we would like is we'd like to see another work day added to the calendar in January when we switch semesters. This would help the high school paraeducators who have to get new students when we change classes, new teachers, and new case managers. We need to meet up with these case managers to find out what format that we need to use in our new classes, what we need to know about our new students, and how we can work together with our new teachers. Coming cold turkey in January is hard on everyone, and it takes an extra will to make a better place for everyone who's concerned. Thanks for all your hard work you do every day, and please remember to share an encouraging word with everyone. And my encouraging word is, if you believe in yourself, anything is impossible. Thanks.
All right, thank you. See, next is Lori Walls here to represent administrative assistants. Ms. Walls.
Can I hand out? Is that or do
You
I
can
need to give it to you guys? Short and sweet. I would like to propose the following adjustment to the administrative assistant salaries, and she'll pass those out, keeping in mind that other groups have had increases of $15 to $20 an hour. Examples are paraeducators and bus drivers. The increase would take care of not only recruiting the best, but also taking care of administrative assistants who have given you 10, 20, and 30 years of service. A 5% increase for everyone while adjusting scale spreads between higher salaries, example principals and teachers, and the salaries at the lower end of the scale, would be welcome compensation and affirmation that you value the contributions our administrative assistants make to MCPS. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Ms. Walls. All right, next is Mr. Chilcote, the Education Association.
Chair Cass and members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of MCEA members regarding the budget. A successful school division requires a strong team of professionals working together to achieve the best working and learning conditions possible. Today, I will discuss 5 budget-related areas that I believe are important to the continued success of MCPS. Salary. The MCEA fully supports Dr. Meyer's proposed 5% salary increase for all employees. This enhancement will continue to allow MCPS to be competitive when it comes to attracting and retaining highly qualified employees. As you know, inflation is a serious problem right now. Many of our employees are single-income households with massive amounts of student loan debt. When the cost of basic goods and services increase, it can, in turn, cause financial stress if salaries remain stagnant. We need at least a 5% enhancement to counteract increasing inflation. Inflation, however, is not the only reason why we need 5%. MCPS employees have gone above and beyond the call of duty during this pandemic. Not only have educators adapted to the current and previous situations, but they have done it with professionalism, enthusiasm, and care for students. A strong budget is a people-first budget. We ask that you honor Dr. Meyer's 5% salary increase. Health insurance. Once again, we are thankful that Dr. Meyer has proposed no increase in healthcare costs for the 22-23 school year. We support this and ask that you honor his request. Any increase in healthcare costs will ultimately be a pay decrease for our hardworking employees. Health and safety. The health and safety of all students and employees is vital to our division's success. We always ask that you keep that in mind. Many of your employees are fighting cancer or other serious illnesses or taking care of elderly relatives. Thank you for always making health and safety a top priority. RIHIP. The MCEA supports extending the RIHIP program in order to attract and retain high-quality substitutes. It's no secret that former teachers make the best substitutes. Please consider giving retired teachers the ability to maintain health insurance until they are 65 or Medicare eligible so they can continue to support Montgomery County and fix this sub-shortage. Lastly, collective bargaining. I would like to once again encourage the board to grant the employees of MCPS a meaningful seat at the table by giving us the ability to collectively bargain. School divisions that collectively bargain have higher student learning outcomes and employees that are satisfied with their working conditions, which in turn means they remain in Montgomery County. When employees have a meaningful outlet to be seen and heard, great things can happen. Please consider moving forward with collaboratively creating a resolution and timeline to make this a reality for the hardworking men and women of MCPS. And I'd also like to add, our push for collective bargaining and our desire to have this meaningful seat at the table is in no way a reflection of our relationship with the administration of MCPS. Dr. Meyer and his team has only been helpful, courteous, wonderful to work with, work for, and we're great partners, and we want to continue that partnership. And in conclusion, the MCA is grateful to the MCPS administration and school board. We appreciate the hard work you do every day and are thankful to be given this opportunity to speak regarding the budget. As professionals entrusted to teach generations of educated citizens, we ask you continue to make a significant investment in our students and staff members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chilcote. Next, Mr. Akers, here to represent the Transportation Department.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Myers. My name is William Akers. I work for the Transportation Department. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. The last few years have been a challenge for us all, both as a community and a nation. It has presented us with some unique obstacles and opportunities. I would like to thank you for your consideration in the proposed 5% pay increase. It is much needed and appreciated in conjunction with no increase in healthcare costs. We also look forward to our new garage, as well as the new buses we receive each year to maintain our fleet, as well as transport our children safely. We also look forward to the arrival of our electric buses. This will take us another step towards helping Montgomery County become more green and environmentally friendly. We understand the tough decisions you are faced with at times. So in conclusion, I would like to thank you for your continued support on all these matters, as well as any others that may come about in the future. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Akers, and thank all of you for presenting this evening. Right. Next on the agenda is the COVID concerns.
Yep. Well, I
and-
guess we're going to get an update
Yes.
regarding our COVID update.
Yes, we'll be getting an update from Mr. Knott and Mr. Gerritsen, I believe.
Good evening. So here you will see our total substitutes and our fill rates for January 24th through February 1st, that is today. You can see high and lows for both teachers and instructional assistants.
How's that in comparison to last time? I can't remember.
It's
about the same?
Almost the same. We did increase substitutes by about 17. We had another substitute orientation at the end of January.
And when you say that teacher high at 92%, whatever day that was, that's sort of the average in normal times?
Yes, sir.
But that's just the high right now. We're not at that average
No,
quite
we're not.
yet. And so
In normal times, we're right around 92%, 90 to 92% on a daily basis.
So was the 81% one day? Is that?
Yes, ma'am. That was the one-day low.
Was
And
it
that-
spread out amongst the schools or?
Yes. It was. We have not recently had any schools that have been highly impacted like we did earlier in the year. It's been pretty evenly spread out this time around.
any questions?
The instructional aid rate is, I know that's always been on average lower, but that's.
It's lower
30% 's
right now
pretty
than
low,
it has
right?
been in the past.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's lower than our average in normal times.
Which is what, usually 60% or something?
It's usually 50 to 60%
okay.
in normal times.
Thanks.
So what happens when we only have 30% of our instructional aides? How does that impact the classroom?
So it impacts the classroom because we don't have someone in the classroom working with those students. Our principals have to move people around. Our special education teachers have to help out more than they normally would. It may cut into some co-teaching on those days, but our principals do a pretty good job of trying to move around. It's not perfect, and it's not the best that it could be.
It puts more burden on the classroom teacher
Yes,
also,
ma'am.
correct?
Absolutely.
Other questions?
All right, Mr. Gerritsen?
No, I've got
Oh,
one
you
more
still-
slide.
He's got another slide? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir. And so you'll see our staff attendance rates for each school this is an average for January 24th through February 1st. And this is pretty much the same as last time. We've had some schools that have increased. We've had some schools that have decreased a little bit. But our attendance rates are pretty good for the last 6 days.
I'm confused. If the teacher average, oh, this is staff. This is not teacher.
This
Okay.
is not just teacher. This is
every, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Does this include teachers too, or is it?
It does include teachers. Yes, ma'am. This is in each building.
So we could have custodians in this number along with our
Yes, ma'am.
teachers and our aides.
Yes, ma'am.
So for me, it's not giving
Yeah.
a true reflection
Okay.
of what's going on in the buildings. Because it's not broken down into job.
Yeah, I unfortunately have been getting several messages from different schools about the cleanliness of the schools, and I'm very concerned about the custodian or lack of custodian help in the schools. I guess I'm looking at these numbers, and they're obviously very high, and I'm trying to figure out. So we've got an 88% teacher average absences, but none of these schools is even
Correct.
close to 80. So how do?
No, it's 88% fill rate for substitutes.
Okay, that's
Or
what
the
it is. It's
absent
not a teacher
teachers.
absence.
Not teacher
okay.
absence.
Right.
Okay, I misinterpreted that.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
that's
It
easy to
is.
misinterpret. So
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
It's of the say 5% who have been absent at Auburn High School. We're filling about 90% of that 5%. Does that make sense?
Okay, I get you.
That's my social studies teaching math.
But again, it's showing all staff and not telling me in what areas where we are still not achieving the goals we want to.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood from the board meeting. I thought this is the numbers that you wanted here. I'll be happy to provide you with whatever numbers you would like as a board.
I think it'd be helpful to see teachers versus, excuse me, teachers versus instructional aides versus cafeteria workers versus custodians.
Can we do that as a whole across the division, as opposed
It'd
to
be nice to see it by school.
break it down?
Or you could do it as a whole, and if there's, you could have if there's a certain school that, if you get below a certain point, you can highlight that. I'd be okay with something like that if the board wishes.
I was going to say, I think we need to be aware how much work that puts on.
Yeah.
If that puts a lot of work, I'm not for it, okay? Because they've got enough going on right now.
I mean, what's the purpose of this information?
Well, my only concern is I am getting several complaints from people about the cleanliness in the schools, that they're not, and it's not because their custodians aren't doing a good job. It's because there aren't any custodians there to get the job done. And so I guess I'm just trying to find out where, because if that's an issue, here we are during a time we're talking about wearing masks and keeping people safe. And so I think, we want to make sure we're doing the proper mitigation. So
Yeah, well, this is this is the first I've heard of it, so folks have to let us know.
I mentioned it last time too.
Folks have to let us know if that's the case, because we will definitely address it and look into it, but we've got to know.
Well, my understanding is they're talking to, the school, they're trying to get it done, and they have brought it forward. So I think we need to, I just want to make sure that we've got the staff there.
So once you heard about it, did you bring it to Tommy?
Last week I brought it up in the meeting. You weren't here, Marty.
So for
Right,
me,
I heard about it.
So for me, the information is about all of our employees and seeing what's going on so that we as a board are able to figure out what we can do to improve that.
Right. I'm not trying to pick, I just trying to understand where the issues are, that's all.
Right.
And I guess I would think that maybe it is hard to come up with these numbers, but we do attendance every day.
We don't do attendance on teachers, so we have to work backwards to.
Attendance isn't, how do you know if you need subs and stuff then if you don't do?
We don't do it. We don't take attendance with teachers like we do with students, so that data is different.
Okay.
And we have to work backwards to get it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, if I may, I would say it's a lot of hand calculations. So I do understand, but I would say on that HR staff, they are at a pretty high level of stress and being taxed at this time. Our COVID calls are getting reduced, but it would be, to answer Ms. Bond's question, a lot of additional hand calculations that would be done, every week. We certainly can do it, but it would be an extra, there's no report that we just run and push this out. We don't have time clocks that staff log into. We don't use the same substitute systems for each employee group because we don't ask our custodians to log into the SubFinder system that we ask teachers to, because we do that in a different way for that group, because we found it's easier for them to call in to their boss than log into Frontline. So it would just be pulling from a lot of different areas. If the concern is specifically, on a custodial group, I think it would be really easy for us to get those numbers to you very quickly. Tommy could give you a better idea, but when we look at job categories, there's probably over 100 job categories that we run when we run a port. So it's getting those categories together, then reallocating them. It's not just like all aides in one category, 6.5-hour aides, 4-hour aides, 5-hour aides, 6.5-hour aides. Everyone is different, so we calculate those together. It is a lot of handwork.
Tommy, and of course Amanda, to put you on the spot, where are we with custodians at our schools in terms of staffing? Is it anything that you can point to?
There's one or two schools that there's some management issues inside the buildings that are being addressed, that, we've seen a large turnover of staff. The other thing is, in cleaning a building, the only time I can clean a building is at night. And so, but when individuals make decisions to bring staff in at 10 a.m. and my whole custodial team's there, I mean, that's a challenge. The other thing is just the normal absentee. I mean, today, for example, in transportation, out of 100 routes, I had 12 drivers out. And it wasn't just COVID. It was call outs, it was different things. And so, you know, we ran today real close that we wouldn't be able to get everybody home on time. And that was something that popped up at 7 o'clock this morning, where I had 3 call outs that took us over the point. So, you know, from and I understand what you're saying in the cleanliness, but each one of them is a different and unique challenge that we face every day.
I think for, if I remember correctly from last meeting's discussion, I mean, some of this, and to answer your question, Ms. Graham, some of this is just seeing a little bit more of a full picture for the board, right? If you give me a fill rate, but you're not telling me how many people or what percentage of staff or teachers are out, it's not particularly useful, right? If the fill rate's 50% and there's only 2 teachers out the entire day, then there was, you know, there's only one position I didn't fill, right? So that percentage may not tell me a whole lot. So I think, you know, I'm more than happy, I am personally anyway, more than happy to work with the staff on, I don't want you guys to go running around doing extra busy work by any means, but just to be able to present the data, you know, to us and the community in a way that just reflects, you know, what's actually going on, I think is what we're saying is useful. So however we do that, I think is fine. I think for me, looking at slide 2, for example, you know, you're giving us teacher fill rates and instructional aid fill rates. You know, one more bullet point that gives the teacher absence rate and the IA absence rate would probably, for me, help fill in that picture. And I assume that you have that data, so I think that was it wasn't like you need to go calculate all this stuff out. I think in addition to the, you know, there have been flare-ups, I think, of when we hear about, you know, a lack of custodial staff, but I also think there's been times where things have flared up, and we've heard from teachers who've, you know, they don't have a planning period, or, you know, their whole building kind of feels under siege because everybody's running around trying to cover positions and things like that. And not to say that anybody's at fault for that, and I commend the principals and the teachers and everybody for doing all that, but I think, you know, the desire is to just have that reflected back up when we report on it at these meetings, that's all.
Right, because I need to be able to have as much information as I can so that I can, 1, answer questions that are asked of me, and 2, as I've said, be able to find ways to address issues where we are having shortages. And our aides have always been at the top of that list. So, well, aides and custodians. I think if I was an employee of Montgomery County Schools and I was in a position that was not reflected in reports and wasn't talked about on a regular basis, I would feel a bit slighted. So I think when we give reports about staffing, it needs to reflect staffing. And I'm sure there's some kind of way out there we can figure this out, because there's all kinds of computer programs that you can just plug stuff into and it will spit it out for us.
And I don't want to make more work for others. I realize everybody is taxed. I get that. I mean, I don't know if there's a way that each school could report in their absences, that you've got parent volunteers at each school who can maybe help with that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to burden anyone. It's just, I think it's helpful this time with so much happening to have those numbers. It would be helpful, but if it can't be done.
Okay, I've got a little bit of a concern because we're in a COVID update and we're moving the staff attendance rates And I feel like it's kind of all going together into when we began this journey about finding out it was about what we were missing on COVID. But now, as even Tommy said, well, 12 bus drivers out, but it didn't all have to do with COVID. So I think we need to decide as a board if we want to hear staffing attendance updates or COVID staffing attendance problems. And there's two different whole issues there. So, and we've put them all into one. We've got doctor's appointments and dentist appointments and children that are sick, and all that's going into these numbers. And I don't think that is a fair, when we look at our community, when our community's asking, when they're seeing that under COVID update. So as a board member, I personally would rather see the two separated. Not that I, again, want to make work, but if we're gonna ask for more details, then let's put them under the right column.
I think that's,
be under.
with all due respect, Ms. Bond, I think that's the point of asking for the averages, right? The averages in past years have always accounted for doctor's appointments and kids being sick and things like that. But, where we are right now, as a society, I think, and if you look at some surrounding counties, I mean, what happens is, when there's kids are out for COVID, these things are happening at a higher rate right now because of the pandemic. And so, I mean, to me, they're one and the same, and I think they're both captured in this.
They're not. They're not one of the same at all.
It's the difference between what is average and what's happening right now. And what explains that is the pandemic.
Not necessarily, because the outage may not be due to COVID.
On average, I think that's true. So in other words, if the averages for, every year before, 2019 was, 92%, and now we're seeing 82%, the explanation for that difference is, by and large, COVID. I mean, is there one or two cases that might be something different? Yeah, maybe. There's always going to be variability, but by and large, that's what it is. And so I think for me, I think we keep this stuff together.
And let me say this, I'm not sure what's being asked of my team to do at this point, just to be quite frank with you. I don't know how to direct our administrators as to what data to produce for you. So if some of you would like to shoot me an email this week as to what exactly you'd like, I'll take a look at it and see if it's possible to do within the time we have. That's okay.
Yeah, and again, the board would need to have majority to approve that. It's extra work.
If it's something.
We would have to approve, why would the board have to approve that? Dr. Meyer, what do you think?
For just the reason
Okay, ask Dr. Meyer.
that Jamie stated earlier. In the past, there have been people on the board who request information.
Right.
And it can be a lot of work on the staff. And so we've made the decision in our norms and protocols to make sure that there's majority agreement in doing that.
So what I'm hearing is each board member needs to send their information, what they would like to see to the superintendent. You'll bring it back to us or get it back to us to let us know where that plays out and if it's feasible.
Yes, ma'am. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I guess now we're into Jason's arena.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Meyer. Continuing just the slides you've seen for the last few weeks. Speaking to our MCPS positive COVID reports, we look at last week, January 24th through the 28th. We got to have a whole week of school that week. 318 positive cases reported. Again, those numbers are big enough that we're comfortable breaking it out and saying 39 of those cases were staff members. 279 of those cases were students. Again, just the graphic there is the table that's available on the website for anyone who cares to take a look. 318 positive cases reported. Just to share that's our biggest total in any week since the pandemic has began, just to make that point. Second slide, we are talking about some attendance data here too. You may have some of the same concerns that you shared with Mr. Knott, so I'll try to speak to those as best I can, again, for the week of January 24th through the 28th. I will mention, even though I said a full week of school, we did have that, that early release due to weather on the 28th. As I look at individual schools, you absolutely can see their attendance, their absentee rate go up on that Friday. Our attendance rate overall for the entire division during that time was 91.6%. When we talk about the individual schools, I do have that information. Our high for any given school was 94.7. The low for any given school, excluding Montgomery Central, again, just because they're so small, a very small number of absences swings their percentage widely. So the lowest school rate was 87.1. These numbers are actually up a little bit from where they were last time I believe we reported this data. We do have the remote days shared there, 1,046 secondary student days reported as remote. Those are presumably times when students have been out primarily due to COVID concerns, but are still logging in on their Google Classroom and being counted present. The board did ask during the first presentation that we try to show that adjustment. If we take those 1,046 secondary days reported as remote and take them out as absences, that would change our attendance rate from the 91.6 you see at the top to 89.5 there at the bottom. So that's kind of an adjustment if we did not have that provision in place for our students.
What's our normal attendance? Like normal, okay, normal was what, 2 years ago? Yeah.
Sure. Normal attendance, I spoke with Dr. Johnson. He does our day-to-day regular attendance information. He said about 93 to 95 is pretty much our average. I certainly feel like prior to the pandemic, Dr. Johnson and the TIS team there at the schools were really making some strides to really get that number even better before we hit the pandemic. And so, again, in the ballpark, 91.6, you know, from 93, 95. And again, of course, it varies from school to school.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Garrett?
Well, just still, you know, I'd like to talk about masks a little bit because that's definitely still on the table with a lot of our community members wanting to talk about it, wanting to hear us talk about it. Do you have any idea of what schools around us have decided to either, you know, say, okay, 2 weeks down the road, 3 weeks down the road, the end of February? Can you tell me what schools have decided to go ahead and take off masks?
Yes, ma'am. I'll do my best from memory. So you might have to correct me or see a mistake here or there. If I'm not mistaken, every other school division in our health district elected to make it parental choice for masking optional. If I'm not mistaken, Roanoke County and Roanoke City continued to mask. Craig County, if I'm not mistaken, masking optional. I mean, it varies branching out, but if I'm not mistaken, all the other divisions in our health district went ahead and made masking parents' choice.
And if I'm not mistaken, Roanoke County just also said they would go at February 14th.
Gave it a date. Yes, ma'am, they did. They presented a date. I do recall that. You're correct.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
And
I'm sorry.
I was going to say.
I thought you were done, sorry.
If it's okay with the board, our last meeting, we asked our student representatives to speak on that. I'd like for these student representatives to have a voice as well, if everybody's okay with that.
Sure, that's why we have them.
Okay.
So I'll just read you what I have here. At the Auburn Strand of Montgomery County, I have asked many students from all grade levels to write a brief statement about how they feel about the masking policy that we have in place. And the majority of the responses that I have collected state that it should be a parent-student choice. Let's see here. We, the students, feel that it's time to let us to have a normal remaining year. We deserve it. COVID-19 has robbed us of 2 years of education and friendship that we can never replace. But yet this board continues to let the students down. We are the ones affected by this policy, and we are the ones who have to struggle to breathe on a daily basis because of these masks. It's time to let the parents choose. According to the Virginia Constitution, Section 1-240.1, and I quote, it states, "A parent has the fundamental right to make decisions concerning the upbringing, education, and care of the parent's child." As the student body, we believe that it is time to let the parents decide whether or not they send their child to school with a mask. Please consider changing the masking policy in our schools. And that was the majority of the responses that I got from all of the students at Auburn High School.
How many people did you ask, Jeffrey? I'm just wondering how many students you had an opportunity to talk to.
Over 50.
Over 50, okay. How many people go to Auburn High School?
So now masking in my school, personally in Christiansburg High School, it has been taken with a lot of frustration, but still many of our students are still very kind and courteous and still are willing to wear their masks. Now, I do believe in the science behind mask mandate, masking, and I believe in public safety and think that it is imperative that that we all work hard for our own community in order to get past this pandemic, because I want what everyone else wants, to get past this and make sure that everyone else is safe and whatnot. And so now I have not personally had the privilege to talk with any of my students. I will make sure to do that tomorrow. I'll make sure to have a poll and whatnot, because we have so far I think around 2,000 or so students in my school. But so far, I think that masking is, I think masks work. And so I think most of the students do agree, or at least what I'm thinking of, is that a lot of students do think that we should do away with masks, that this pandemic ought to be over in their minds. And I think that the decision to unmask should not be a rushed decision, but should be a decision that is taken thoughtfully, with statistics taken into account and science taken into account as well. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, too.
Okay.
Can I ask a question regarding, one of the parents actually mentioned it about how to handle the strains going forward. So, the strains going forward, sorry. So I know, Mr. Garrettson, you did an absolutely fantastic job getting us prepared and ready way before any other school division in the state of Virginia for COVID. Have you guys, as an administration, looked at how do we handle, what are our markers for strains that might come up? Let's say, once we do relax the mask policy?
We continue to work, I think, as the board knows, with the task force.
Right.
We still meet several times a week with the task force. That includes the health department. It includes representatives from county and town governments, law enforcement, EMS, the hospitals. We take a lot of our cues from them. We pay attention a lot to the information they share with us, the guidance they provide. I have to say, based on your comment, Ms. Graham, we've got a great team. So I certainly can't, you gave me a nice compliment, but a lot of teamwork went into that. And early on, just a lot of our best effort to try to see if we could understand what was out there and do what seemed right and seemed to make sense.
Right.
When we talk about new variants, new strains, no one has a crystal ball.
Sure.
And no one knows what comes next, and no one knows, in the next big concern that may come from this, we don't know what we may see. Certainly now, as we talk about the latest variant, there's a lot of talk, a lot of discussion about much more contagious, but maybe less impactful. That's not where we were with Delta. That's not where we were originally. So it's hard to predict. We have certainly talked in our leadership team about what kind of next steps would maybe look like based on the information we have. We certainly have talked about revisiting an old policy that spoke to contagious diseases.
Sure.
And I think all school divisions, when we first went down this road, kind of took a deep sigh and reached for that policy on the shelf and hoped there were good things in there. So certainly we've learned a lot. We're all much more well versed in public health than we were 2 years ago. So that's probably the best answer I can provide you.
Okay.
Working with the crystal ball or the moving target, it's really hard to plan ahead. Certainly, I think the board and division leadership has shown throughout the challenges of the pandemic, and one of the testaments to emergency response in all aspects is the ability to scale your response.
Yes.
When things are difficult, to scale up our response to meet the needs, and then when we find or believe we're in a better position, be able to scale down.
Correct.
Kind of step by step, without maybe just dropping the whole bottom out of the plan.
Sure.
I hope that answers your
It
question.
does, very much. Thank you.
And then the question I have, I've talked to Mr. Garrison about this some already, but you know, the new VDH guidance is kind of out there, and I'm not sure if there's new guidance yet or all the different variations, but you know, certainly there's some stuff in there that were we to allow unmasking, other factors have to play in, right, in terms of how we deal with unmasked kids and how we deal with unvaccinated kids versus vaccinated kids, and the test to stay program and all these little pieces. So it's unclear to me, and this is just me being new to the board, I'm sure, when do we have to ask the administration, you guys, to kind of review the plans around that new guidance and present that to us? Or do we just say we're going to unmask and hope like heck that you guys follow all that stuff, right? Like, I feel like I would rather do like a ready, aim, fire than a ready, fire, aim, right? Like actually have a plan in place that we know is going to keep our kids safe in the absence of masks built around that VDH guidance.
Yeah, we definitely do want to update you anytime there are changes. However, last week when guidance came out, what we found was it really wasn't new guidance, even though it was presented as new guidance in some ways, but it was not new VDH guidance. But you know, Mr. Garrison can give you a couple of highlights right now, if you would.
Sure. We anticipated and were kind of told that new guidance was coming. When the document was released, it came in the form of frequently asked questions. It wasn't a new guidance document as much as FAQs. My understanding was that many of those questions had been asked in a VDH, VDOE combination superintendent's call that came earlier in the week. All those questions kind of went up. They all didn't get answered immediately at that call, and then they all come out in an FAQ document. You know, some of the big things that really jump out in the FAQ document is that you do still have some pieces in there that speak to the parent's option to choose for their child, but then also the continued guidance that right when we came back from winter break, we changed our isolation guidelines. We moved from 10 days in return to 5 days in return in a mask. And the expectation was still there that if you're coming back on day 6, that you would be in a mask, even though there's a little bit of a conflict there. Well, it's parents' choice, unless you're under those circumstances. And it brings back a lot of those same conversations this board has had, right? Like, are people going to be harassed or bullied or teased about being in a mask? If you're in a mask, is it going to single you out that you are coming back fresh from having a COVID experience? All those things are still kind of in play. It does continue to talk about all the other mitigation measures that we've had in place all along. It does still talk about distancing. It does still talk about staying home when you're ill. It does still talk about respiratory etiquette and hand washing and all those other pieces. But interestingly, it does continue to say in the document, in the FAQ, one of the biggest pieces was if 2 people choose to be at school, like let's say Danny and I are students at school, and Danny chooses not to mask, and I do, if Danny were to test positive, I can still be determined to be an exposure, even though I chose to keep the mask on. The other big thing that really stands out are conversations around contact tracing. And I know our board has questioned and discussed and asked lots of concerns about contact tracing throughout the pandemic. And at this point, essentially, the health department has said, we're not responsible for contact tracing anymore. They have also said to those schools who did do their own contact tracing, schools, you are no longer responsible anymore. They leave it up on the individual to reach out to their close contacts and say, hey, Danny, I may have exposed you. Hey, I'm not feeling well. Leadership team, you might want to watch your symptoms because I may be sick or maybe I've tested positive. So those are kind of the big pieces that were in that latest document, which again is not so much new guidance as it is just FAQs to the most recent guidance that came out after Executive Order 2.
Well, I would say saying we're not going to contact trace, you don't have to contact trace, that's new guidance, okay? So I've said this at many meetings. Every county around us chose to make masks optional, and every last one of them have had to shut down, some of them multiple times. We have not had to do that one day. And if the goal is to keep kids in school, then what we're doing is working. And when we have 318 cases, which is the highest, and 2 weeks ago, whatever that number was, it was the highest then. So I don't understand why we should change what's working for Montgomery County. Because it's working when the other folks come back and they put the mask on. And now that they're taking them off again, I hope things will go well, but their experience, I think, will start to repeat itself. And I heard folks saying that in other countries, especially Great Britain, that folks were taking their masks and things off. Well, throughout this whole pandemic, things have come from that way to us, and we're usually 2 weeks or so behind them. So give us another few weeks to see where things are at before we say, okay, we're going to make a decision to take the mask off or to leave them on. Because right now what we're doing, whether folks like it or not, is keeping our kids in school, and isn't that the goal?
And I think we also have to remember, sometimes they're forgotten, but we have a great deal of students in our schools that are under 5, and there's not even a vaccine available for them. They have no protection. They don't have the option to have a protection other than the mask. So I think we need to not forget about them.
That will be coming by the end of the month.
So, a couple points I want to make, and some of our speakers made this point too about how masks work, and I'll keep saying this, but I'm going to say it another way today. I don't think anybody has an individual or parental right to harm others. And when we're talking about COVID and we're talking about the way masks work, and Mr. Garrison was just talking about it with even the state guidance on this, when I wear a mask, it protects everyone else around me. So it's a collective thing. The other thing that I want to talk about is that we, as a school board, last meeting voted to affirm SB 1303, which as far as I can tell is still the law. Now, I understand that the governor issued an executive order, and there are many people that say we have to follow that executive order, and there are many people with law degrees who are saying that executive order is not going to hold up. And if, correct me if I'm wrong, Nikki, on this, but I believe that's now being challenged in court. Is that correct? So do you have an expectation for how long that's going to take to play out and get a, okay. Well, I didn't know if this type of thing usually takes weeks or months to. Okay. Okay. All right. So we don't have an exact timetable on that, but nonetheless, I mean, when we talk about what we're going to do with our masking, I mean, I think we've already kind of, for now anyway, we've decided what we're going to do with our masking, and that's going to be to follow the law. And I don't know, if the courts come back and say you have to follow the executive order, then that's probably what we have to do. But until then, there is a law in place, and that law has us tied to the CDC recommendations. And so I think, my expectation, my hope from listening to Dr. Fauci and other people from the CDC is that, if everything goes the way that Dr. Bissell and other experts are saying, that hopefully we will in a few short weeks or several weeks or a month or two, we'll get to that point. So I think, for us, my expectation is that we will continue to follow the CDC guidance because that is the widest and broadest medical advice that we have in this country right now. And, that's what the General Assembly of Virginia decided to tie us to, and I'm fine with that. I think that the whole point of that bill was to keep schools open, and I think that those of us who are following the law and following those recommendations, like Ms. Franklin said, are being successful in that. I have a friend whose kids attend Radford schools, and they just last week went mask optional, and they just got an email, I don't know what it was today or yesterday, basically warning them that they might have to go virtual, 100% virtual soon because they're having issues. So I think what we're doing is working, and until this board decides that we're not going to follow the law, SB 1303, I don't know that there's a whole lot that we need to really keep discussing on it, but.
Okay, if I may, there's been lots of things this board has decided, but we've continued discussing week after week after week. So this is another opportunity that's very important to our community, and I don't think there's anything wrong with having a conversation about it. Nobody's calling for the vote, nobody's asking for any decisions, but it's a conversation.
Agreed.
And like I said, we've had many decisions made, but are continually brought up and discussed. So I don't think this is any less than any of those. And it is important to our community. So, just to give it due respect, to have the conversation so people know where we're still standing and know what we're looking at. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I don't think Mark was saying there's anything wrong with that. That's why
I don't think there's anything further to discuss.
I said I'm not sure how much there's going to be to discuss in future weeks and weeks. So that, we voted on this last time, and you wanted to discuss, and I said, we'll talk. I'm always happy to talk about it. I don't want to shut down conversation.
That's why we're having the COVID reports. We've asked to have this every week or every meeting, to poor Danny and Jason's dismay. And we'll keep asking for it at each meeting so we can see the data and keep discussing.
Okay.
Sounds good.
We'll have it on next agenda.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And I would like to thank our students this week and at our last board meeting for your input. And I hope we as a board don't try to, I don't know the right word here, try to make our students uneasy by not valuing their input. Maybe that's the way I want to say, because it is valued.
If I may say something, as a student representative and as somebody who talks to my fellow students, honestly, what I've collected over the past, I don't know, maybe over a year, we feel so underrepresented that it's not even funny. We feel like this board doesn't care. And if I may suggest, even if, say for an example, say Ms. Parton went to her schools and just had like an open forum question that's not as professional, that's not as intimidating to students, that would make us feel a whole lot better and make our opinion valued versus having to come up here in a more professional setting, which makes high school students, and I'm an FBLA and I speak in front of hundreds of people, and I still get nervous doing this. It would make our opinion more valued than, like I said, coming here. And that's just a suggestion. I mean, you all can vote and do whatever you need to with it. But that's just a suggestion coming from the Auburn strand, because we do not feel that our opinion matters.
I think that's a great idea, Jeffrey. Unfortunately, we've been told as board members that we're not allowed to have, go into schools and do that kind of a forum, but maybe that's something as a board we can discuss going further, because I would have absolutely no problem with having forums with students and really talking to them, but it kind of doesn't follow norms and protocols that we established. So that's something we would have to talk about as a board. But I totally agree. I think that would be awesome. What do you think, Sean?
Oh, I second that. I agree with Jeffrey with that. And I would also maybe even suggest that perhaps for instance, for Christiansburg High School, we have a student advisory board, and that includes me and all the student officers, the elected officers from my school, and we meet once every month on Wednesday to discuss school stuff and sometimes COVID-related stuff, sometimes school events, and we would absolutely love if we could have one of you to come and talk to us and for us to ask you any questions that we might want and give you any input, because I would feel that would make the students' voices heard more loudly, if that's
Absolutely. Because I know that we all, like, say for an example, I'm in the Beta Club. We have guest speakers. So would you all come in, say for an example, we have SOAR time at Auburn High School. Would it conflict, or like you said that you're not allowed to do that? How can we have guest speakers, but yet we can't have our own representatives come and talk to the students in which you all represent?
Good point.
Yeah.
Well, that's something.
Or even if we couldn't engage, maybe we could just come and listen.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to me, that would be even something that we could evaluate as a board.
I think it
to
depends on
decide.
how we engage too. I guess we need to talk about it, but it's how we engage too, and it's not, as long as we're not
we don't-
providing our own
Right.
opinion, but if we're just stating.
Listening, hey, these are our concerns, and we can hear them, and it's in the back of our mind, and we can note.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your input, both
Yeah,
of
that's
you.
good.
Appreciate it very much. Okay. Next on the agenda is collective bargaining.
So, yeah, sure, thank you. The school board asked for collective bargaining to be on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Ms. Drake will pull up the collective bargaining timeline as the board discusses collective bargaining. But first, I'd like to start off by saying a couple of things. I think it was yesterday, day before, it was yesterday, we actually had an new assistant principal orientation. And I started off that orientation and by making a joke saying, oh, all these were former teachers who now all of a sudden they're assistant principals. You've gone to the dark side, okay? And I was doing it in a joking manner, all right? And I said, no, that's exactly the opposite. I said, that's what some may want to think, but that is not the case here in Montgomery County. When you become an assistant principal, when you become a principal, when you become the superintendent, I believe that we should have a servant mentality for our teachers. Why? Because it's what's best for our students. And we're here to serve you. And you're here to serve our students. And I truly, truly, truly believe that. And, one thing that I promised I would never forget is, this is my 30th year in the profession. 30 years ago, I started as a teacher assistant. Actually, that's what I was called. All right, I was a teacher assistant. I was a one-on-one aide with a kid who had spina bifida, and he and I hung out all day long for my first year in education. And I learned so much from that young man and so much from doing that job. I think I got paid about $7,500 to do it for the year. And unfortunately, the pay hasn't gotten much better, has it? And then I spent several years in the classroom. And I really think that one of the reasons that I moved into school administration was to be able to support teachers, because there were times I didn't feel supported as a teacher. I didn't feel like I was being heard, and that what I was saying was being valued. And so I chose at that time that, hey, if I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to be someone who is here to help. And I've carried that throughout my entire career, all the way to being a superintendent. Hasn't always been easy. Of course, we've had to make decisions that sometimes don't feel good, and I understand that. But what I'll say is, in my past 6 years here, I've had a great working relationship with the Education Association. We've always talked. We've had monthly meetings. We didn't always agree on everything, okay? But that's okay too. But we had discussions and we had open, honest communication. And so, and I think a result of that was too, we went from several years of not receiving any raises to now we have 6 years in a row we've received raises. We've gone from one of the lowest paying school divisions to one of the highest paying school divisions because we've made it a priority. And I looked at it as an effort, as a team effort with our teachers. Our folks in MCA, they know who funds them. They know it's not us here on this board, okay? They know the funding source. And I've looked at them as a teammate of mine in trying to get better teacher pay and better employee pay. And it's not just about teachers, it's all of our employees. Everybody makes it work. Every single one of you make it work. The importance of doing this, and some of y'all have mentioned this, is we're in a crisis right now, folks. It is a crisis. I believe education is under attack. I believe we are being, unrightly accused of certain things that are happening in our classrooms. But you know what's going on in our classrooms? We got teachers that love kids, that are working hard, that are teaching them and teaching them appropriate things. They teach them real history, how it really occurred, and I'm going to continue to encourage that they teach the correct history, all right? And I'm sorry it makes folks feel uncomfortable, but we have to teach it correctly, period, okay? And so who better to be at the table than the folks who are directly in front of our kids, all right? And it all comes back to simply that. The why are the students, everyone. They are the students of our county that matter. And again, the crisis is also we have fewer folks going into public education every year. We have fewer applicants in the pool. And this is one way that someone coming into the profession can feel supported and feel like they have a say in what happens to them in their career. And I'm fully in support of that. And I just want to let you know that I look forward, if the board moves this way, I look forward to being on your team with you and doing what's needed to support you. Doesn't mean we're going to always agree on every single item, okay? But I know we can have great conversations and continue to move this division forward. I don't know if you saw this, there are 133 school divisions in Virginia. We were ranked number 10 in the state. Probably the first time any school division west of Charlottesville has been in that ranking in the top 10. And it's because of our folks on the ground every day and the things that we're doing and how we work together and the education we're giving our students. And but 10's not good enough. I think we can even be better. And I think this is a step towards making that even better. So that's my thoughts, everyone. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Meyer. Now you're supposed to tell us the timeline.
Ma'am?
Now you're supposed to do the collective bargaining
What am I supposed
timeline.
to do? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to do something else. Yeah. Feel free to begin your discussion.
Okay.
Based on this timeline here.
So any discussion on the collective bargaining presentation?
I would like to just go ahead and put a motion that we can discuss out there. So I would move that the board direct administration to work with MCEA to come up with a resolution and support that with the chair and vice chair so that it comes back to the board so that we can move this process forward.
Ms. Franklin, if
I'm sorry, did we not already do that?
No, you haven't done that yet. And if I may make, I'm sorry, I know, it's amazing, right? I get so muffled. One, if I may
I know what she's gonna
recommend
say.
very gently one modification to employee organizations. MCEA, of course, would be one. And we know that they're the only one in our system right now, but if we can just modify that a little bit, I just think it leaves it open to if there is another organization, the board doesn't show bias. Your choice.
I can deal with it.
Thank you very much.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Ms. Drake, could you state the full motion again? And did
See
we
if
get a
Ms.
second?
If Ms. Franklin agrees to it. A motion hereby authorizing the superintendent, board chair, board vice chair, and legal counsel to develop a draft collective bargaining resolution in collaboration with employee organizations who are so interested for the school board's consideration. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I had left out legal because sometimes you know how they can be.
Oh, I didn't
But
know
it's
that was
okay.
intentional. Do you want it to come
It's okay.
out?
I will be okay with that added to it.
Okay,
Yep.
sounds good.
No offense, Nick.
I'll
We-
second.
We have a second?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Graham seconded. Now
Are
it's
you at discussion?
Yep.
I'm just, because I don't, explain to me what this moving forward is. Just, after hearing some of the comments that were made tonight about not caring and finally doing what's right by employees, it makes me personally afraid to say anything because I feel like we have supported, and I do feel like we have gone above and beyond, and we do listen to our groups. And I know I've been on the board 16 years, and we've done nothing but do that. So, I guess it makes me feel like, oh my gosh, if I say anything, I'm not in support of the groups that I've been supporting for 16 years.
Right.
So, I want to know exactly what this step is meaning, just so I'll know for clarification, because I've not ever heard of collective bargaining before this came onto the scene. So if you would just explain to me what it means,
What the motion meant?
what the motion means.
Okay, so let's talk about collective bargaining. It doesn't mean that we're not supporting our teachers or haven't been, or our employees. It means that they have a voice.
Right, I understand that, but what
Right.
I'm saying is what this step that you're making a motion toward, what that is.
So what that means is there will be a resolution that is jointly developed to bring back to the board to approve. And within those guidelines, then negotiations would begin.
I think probably what Jamie wants to understand is what the resolution will contain.
But that's not made yet, correct? Other than the one that was sent to us, that was a draft,
Right.
correct? So this is just a step toward getting the information and deciding that, yes, this is the route we'll start, finding out information, because I know Mr. Chewbacca even mentioned having a public hearing. He felt that that was imperative, so I didn't know if that was something that, I think there's some more discussion around this, so is this just a starting point to
Yes.
start those type things?
Right.
Okay.
And I don't recall him asking for a public hearing, but that it was out there so that the public could be able to respond, which they have been doing, email
Maybe I'm
and in
wrong, but I
person.
thought I heard you.
So
say that.
Annie,
Too.
Nikki, Danny, could you get Nikki the mic?
Yeah, I can.
Or she can come, and Annie, could you go ahead and start?
Yeah,
It's just-
Nikki probably has a much more comprehensive knowledge, but it provides for us an outline of the things that we will discuss. So this would not be, here's what's going to happen and some agreement. It's the agreement of how we move forward, how the MCA would certify. So say they have to have 55% of an employee group. What they have to do to certify that to show the board, here it is. Is that through notarization or is that through what process? So it really just outlines how those conversations would happen, but it's not the actual conversation negotiation yet.
beginning,
It's setting up
starting
that
the path.
platform.
Right.
It's affirming that we will have the conversation.
The resolution would enable collective bargaining. You have
Correct.
to adopt that first, but this motion simply directs the process to begin so that resolution can be developed. The resolution enables collective bargaining and sets out the process for how collective bargaining will work.
Right. So we're not agreeing to specific things like 5% raise, which we have no, control over, but
But if you accept this, you're accepting,
No.
you're
No.
saying that you're moving into you're not, okay.
No, we're,
No.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
No, we are, by accepting this, we're saying we are going to move towards collective bargaining, but then from there, so that's what we'd be approving this evening. From there, or doing the resolution. Once the resolution is completed and approved, then,
If it is approved, you have
If
to
it's
take the
approved.
vote, yes
Right.
or no, to enable collective bargaining.
That has to
Right.
be
And that
first
resolution
before
sets
the
out the
resolution.
process.
Right.
Yeah.
so there's several steps that have to happen.
Right.
So if I'm understanding you right, Nikki, it sounds to me like what you're saying is the board would need to vote to move to accept the collective bargaining.
Resolution that's developed,
But-
but
and
that's
then-
step 2.
But then
And
after that, it's saying that we will be in favor of it and show us what you're bringing to the table for us to look
At
at.
that point, you have to establish the agreement. I mean, you have to.
So,
Right, but you said that was step 2.
We have to create a
That's
No.
step 3,
No,
actually.
Step 2,
Okay.
step 2 is adopting the resolution that enables collective bargaining. And that will have the process for entering into an agreement, which also has to be approved.
But step
But today
one, yes.
is not, there is not a resolution before you.
Okay.
Today is the motion to
Motion.
direct who we just discussed, which may or may not include legal counsel. I think it should. To direct those individuals to develop a resolution for your consideration
so
at
by.
a future meeting.
So by doing that, we're basically saying we're agreeing to do collective bargaining.
No.
Nope,
we're,
not
we're,
yet. The
let,
next-
let me try. It's, we are agreeing to take the first step to look at a resolution that enables it. And then we will vote on that resolution. So this is, step 1 is developing the resolution that would enable it if it's adopted. That's
That
step
would
1, right?
state the group.
Step 2, that resolution then, once it's agreed upon, would come before us and we would vote on it, yes or no. If it gets voted yes, then that enables collective bargaining. This is where I get a little fuzzy. At that point, that resolution is not going to, it's going to spell out the kind of mechanics of how we're going to move forward, but it's not going to spell out that we're going to allow collective bargaining on, planning time, or we're allowing collective bargaining on salaries or benefits or anything like that. That gets hashed out in step 3 later. Is that correct, Nikki?
That is my understanding, but again, the expert in my office, you've heard from once already.
Yeah.
And she would likely be the one we'd look to
Okay.
work on that.
I feel a little
resolution.
better then that I'm
Yeah.
a little fuzzy on it. So, okay.
Yeah.
So I think, so in other words, does that make sense to you? Sorry.
Kind of, sort of.
Okay.
So you're not approving collective bargaining tonight. You're
Or
approving
rejecting it.
Forward with.
or rejecting it. You're just, you're approving, or you're saying, okay, go ahead and put something together to bring back to us to approve. But you don't have to approve. When it comes back, you don't have to approve it. So this is just, okay, you can go work on it. It doesn't mean I'm saying I'm going to do it, but yeah, go ahead and work on it. Am I right, Nikki? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
So I think it would be appropriate to hear from MCEA because of the comments made about, that Jamie made about, we've always supported, we've always worked with you, to make sure you're clear on what they're feeling. Would the board want to hear? I believe it's part of how we start working together is to make sure we are all clear and we're all feeling and have the same thing, whether it be for or against, but we have all that information. Because this is a big move.
I agree, and I understand, and I guess my points were, even in discussion, if something even sounds like you're questioning to me, that's being interpreted as non-support. And that's our job as a board, to have discussion, to learn things, to figure it out. And I think sometimes, so many times, we're quoted on saying something out of discussion of being negative, and it doesn't mean it's negative. It just means we're having a conversation. It is what we're elected to do. So I just wanted to clear the air on that. And if I could ask what the motion was, because I don't even know now.
Well, I'd just like to make a comment real quick
Okay.
before we go to
Okay,
the
there we
motion.
go. Thank
And the motion's up on the board, too. Jamie, I know you feel that you have been supporting teachers and that you've always supported staff, but that's not how saying I support everyone is different than us actually letting teachers be part of the process. And I taught for 11 years, so I was a teacher, and for the last 2 years now, I've been on the board, and I haven't seen that kind of collaboration. I have not seen that kind. I know everyone's trying, and everyone wants to do that. I appreciate the desire to do that, and that's what everybody's trying to do that. But the collective bargaining will really lay out a map for how that's going to happen. And it'll allow the staff to have more voice in the process. And as much as everyone has said, well, I've always supported, I'm always in support. As a teacher, it's not felt. It's not felt out there in the schools that we are really providing the level of involvement that these people who have gone and gotten master's degrees, and some of them, and they are the experts on educating our students, and we're not using them in a way that they can be used to really help move all of us forward. So I don't think it's meant to be an insult to anybody, because I don't think, and even being on the board now, I kind of I support teachers, but what have I really done in the last 2 years to do that? But it's like, yeah, we support them, we do support them, and we do everything we can to do that. But I think there's just just more involvement. They just want to really have a map for how they will be involved. So I don't think it's meant to be a slight, but that's my
I understand, and you keep
interpretation.
mentioning teachers, but we are talking about.
And I said staff. I said staff a couple of times.
But
I was
still,
not just talking.
we keep reiterating teachers. And I need to know that we're all talking about.
I'm talking about staff, and I've said it a
Thank
few
you.
times, and I think even Penny just a few minutes ago said teachers, and I think
Again,
we say
discussion, Sue, and
teachers.
it's okay.
I know. So I think when I say teachers going forward, when I'm talking in a collective manner like this, just assume I mean teachers and staff.
Yeah. And even though we have a good relationship now, none of us may be sitting here in the future,
Right.
and there may not be a good relationship to be able to help keep things moving forward and be able to retain the wonderful people that we have. So this helps put things in writing as to how we will operate as a district. And it gives everybody an opportunity to have a say into what that document would say.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Is there any more discussion before I read it one more time? Motion hereby authorizing the superintendent, board chair, board vice chair, and legal counsel to develop a draft collective bargaining resolution in collaboration with employee organizations who are so interested for the school board's consideration. We have a motion and a second. So I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor, or should we do a roll call on this, Ms. Drake? Okay.
Ms. Bond,
I'm going to abstain.
Mr. Chewbacca,
Yes.
Ms. Franklin,
Yes.
Ms. Graham,
Yes.
Mr. Hudson,
Yes.
Ms. Parton,
Abstain.
Ms. Cass.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, motion carries. We are on to our next step, which is, or next agenda item, the Gifted Advisory Committee membership. Does anyone wish to make a motion related to the new members of the Gifted Advisory Committee? They were listed in our board documents.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
I just wanted to note that we're still not at the ratio we should be for the Auburn and Eastern Montgomery strands. So I encourage parents and teachers to be a part of that committee and help grow our gifted program.
And for me, with all of our committees, I would like to see the race of our committee folks to make sure that we are representing all of our students.
It should be on there. It's on the second
three.
page, I believe.
Page 3.
It's on every one that's presented to us.
I always forget to screen that up, sorry.
That's okay, as long as we remember to do it, we're happy.
There you go. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, we did the motion already, right?
We did?
Yeah.
in a second. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Let's see, we are now on to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? I don't think so. Okay. Moving on to new business. Do we have any new business?
What do we need to do to move forward on the requests that we heard from our student representatives tonight? Is that I feel like the last time we had extensive conversation about board norms and protocols, I can't remember if that was closed session or if that was at a retreat, but it wasn't in it wasn't in this form.
It was a retreat, I believe.
It was kind of the retreat, yeah.
Well, I have gone to schools at the request of students to speak to a group. So
Is
that's
that okay?
something-
Okay,
That's
but
something we can do.
That's okay.
It's a difference when we say, okay, bring all your students because we want to have a meeting with them.
Okay,
But
so we can
we're
go, if we're
asked to
invited, we
come.
can do that.
Right.
Okay,
So I think
maybe I misunderstood
So I
the
think maybe the
procedure.
I think if the student government bodies or the student groups or whoever wants wants to talk to us, I think probably they should invite us, probably 2 at a time. I don't think we want to turn it into an open meeting, and I would certainly encourage them to at least round robin through everybody, or get somebody from your district and somebody from the other side, because I really think it would be useful for us and for them to kind of get the different perspectives of everybody, right?
And I'd encourage you to do so. I think I have a student advisory committee that's made up of middle and high schoolers that I meet with periodically, and it's the best meeting that I have every.
I was going to ask you
month
if you
or so.
still did that or not.
Oh, it's incredible. I have the most fun. It's I really enjoy meeting with kids. Not that I don't enjoy meeting with adults, but kids are a lot more fun. But I think the boards, maybe the confusion may be with the board's meeting with employees.
Okay, maybe
That's a little different than
maybe it's my misunderstanding.
the meeting with students. Yeah, but I know Penny goes and has great conversations with students.
I've gone and visited
Yeah.
and talked with students, but not like in a group setting.
Yeah.
I didn't think we could do it in a group setting.
I'd encourage you because the reason I love visiting schools, it reminds me why I do what I do.
Well,
That's
and
talk to
I
kids.
will say, although I think that's a fantastic idea, and we have held meetings at other schools before to try to get community to come out and speak with us and this and that. It's just like sharing with a person who emailed and said, I hadn't seen anybody in my school until that was my district. And it's like I shared with him, COVID hits other professions too, just like it's hit mine. And people are out, and so guess who gets to fill in? Everybody thinks owning a business is so great. Well, I'm telling you what.
that needs to be done. There's some work that needs to be done, but you're right. I think we need to probably schedule something to talk about it. You know, maybe if it's the will of the board, we can, you know, if we don't get around to that, maybe we can direct staff to gather some information for us on that. I would like to move forward on that. I agree.
Any other thoughts?
Oh, I'm always fine with having discussion.
Forehead nods, okay.
Limited discussion.
I know you can't see as easy in that circle as you could in the square, right?
That's right. I need to have eyes on the side of my head now.
Could I just ask a question, if you don't mind? If we're to gather information, just so we know a little bit more what you want us to gather.
We're not asking.
We're
you
not
to
there
do
yet.
anything. We're not there yet.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And actually, if anything, I'd probably ask Nikki to kind of help us do some research from a legal perspective, what's going on in other school districts in the state, and you know, maybe you can help in other. When I'm sure this issue has come up in other locations, so maybe you can kind of give us some. I know. Wait, and that's what it's. Now I'm telling you. If that's okay.
Don't tell me we confused you.
Not us. So, okay.
Let's see now, either Nikki or Brett will be back the first meeting in March. Okay, which, whoever.
Are you tired of blacks?
Any displays.
Well, what had happened is we asked, because of concern about what pride flags, we have asked teachers to take down anything that was pride flag related.
Well, not
And
just, no.
So I guess that we are really looking at the whole realm, not just pride flags, or?
No, it was not just pride flags.
It's
No.
everything.
We listed several different.
Any personal opinions or anything that doesn't have to do with the curriculum. Right.
Probably the best thing was to send you show you what the policy is now, because we redid the policy, so you probably need to see that.
We did not change the policy.
Did not change
No, it's
the
the same.
policy.
That's
It has been in place since.
It was.
We kept it the same.
It wasn't a
so-
policy change. It was a question from the administration on how to enforce or interpret the policy, and that's
Right, the
we kinda
policy
had
was
a-
from like 2000.
Yeah, so it's
Or-
possible that we might need to rewrite policy. It's possible. It would be interesting to see how things are being interpreted, you know, in other districts too. I mean, what the practical effect of this was that, you know, as far as the pride flag goes, which for a lot of students and staff was a sign of welcome for one of our stated policies of inclusion. Even having a rainbow sticker, on your door is considered, you got to take that off.
Yeah,
Which then has led other people to ask us questions about, well, what if a teacher, has a religious symbol on their body or something like that. So I think it can get a little sticky and a little bit complicated quickly, but I do think that we need a little bit more discussion and clarification and on this topic.
Does that help or muddle it more?
Yeah, so maybe the first meeting in March would be good. Okay.
That's fine. We probably have enough on the work for our work meeting. But
Okay, sure.
I just want to make sure it doesn't get lost.
If I can,
Yes.
might be making promises we can't keep, but
Oh.
we won't forget about it, and
Okay.
we will update you at our next agenda.
Okay. I won't forget. Any announcements or information that anyone would like to share?
Yes, I have one, and you all may have heard this on the news for several months, actually, but the New River Valley Public Health Task Force needs our help. There is a huge blood shortage throughout the country. So they are doing a blood drive on Friday, February the 11th, from 10 to 4 at the Blue Ridge Church. That's where we got our shots. So if you can, please give blood.
Yeah, there's only a few slots left.
Yeah.
I checked today,
Yep.
mostly in the afternoon,
So, but
mid-afternoon.
I am sure if they have more people who really want to give, they'll figure out how to do it again. And that would be a good problem to have.
Once they fill those, they can open up more. The Red Cross will
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, the last thing we have is our, any other announcements? I'm sorry. I didn't give enough time there.
So the dialogue on race was postponed because
Over.
of the weather. This was the first time in 10 years, so it has been rescheduled for March the 26th, same place, same time. But you need to re-register.
I was going to ask you, you have to re-register? Okay.
Yes.
Got to register again.
Yeah, need to re-register.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Penny. Okay, so I guess we're looking at upcoming school board meetings. We have a meeting on the 15th of February here. And then am I supposed to talk about the agenda items that are listed so far, Ms. Drake? Public address policy, which I believe Jamie had asked that we have a conversation about that, correct, Jamie?
Oh, yeah, the minutes.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Long time ago.
God, yeah.
Our bi-weekly, bi-monthly COVID update, and approving the budget submission to the Board of Supervisors. On the March 1st, we'll have a meeting at hopefully the Government Center if they figure out how to air it out, because poor Penny can't handle the chemicals or her allergies. It's killing her. So if not, the chemicals are killing her. If not, we'll be back here. So and if anybody wonders why we keep meeting here, it's because they did work in the Government Center, and the chemicals they use to put down on the floor, the carpeting, are like, it smells really bad in there.
It's
Airing
not
off
just the,
VOCs.
Yeah, it makes you feel sick to your stomach, so.
and I can't breathe.
And Penny can't breathe, and we want Penny to keep breathing. And March 15th, we'll be back here at the PD Center, and the only thing we got so far is COVID update, and maybe on one of those two, we'll get to talk about the pride flag. So, with that being said, we will go to closed session. Our next order of business is closed session. Do I have a motion to go into closed session to discuss one legal matter and one personnel matter as authorized by Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Wait. Do we need,
Going upstairs.
we're doing student matter too, aren't we?
What's student matter?
Aren't we?
Matter
Oh, that is,
We got to
okay.
decide on the student matter, too.
We're going to finish student matters.
We're gonna, and we need to finish student matter, that's true.
Don't go nowhere.
Yeah.
Can we?
We're gonna stay
have to
here,
add
or are we
that
going
to the-
upstairs?
You need to go upstairs.
To the agenda.
Okay. No problem.